Big discounts on the things you use every day. Staples. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortera. News 3 live at 11.
Join Coach Harvey Hyde and Chuck Hayes Saturday evenings from 9 to 10 p.m. for Trojan Football Report, presented by South Point Hotel and Casino, here on 101.5 FM and 720 AM KDWN, where Las Vegas comes to talk.
From 1878 to 1921, it was America's money. Morgan silver dollars. Everyone carried them, from the famous to the infamous. Teddy Roosevelt, Jesse James. Now, only a fraction survive, and what coins collectors do find, they hoard. But thanks to government.com, you can now own one of these historic U.S. silver dollar masterpieces in collector-worthy condition at a sensational price. A limited number of 1921 Morgan silver dollars have been released to the public. The actual, real, solid U.S. silver dollars. And one can be yours by calling government now at 1-800-222-3967. To secure your last year of issue 1921 Morgan silver dollar at an exceptional government price, call 1-800-222-3967. Call now and we'll give you a free coin catalog just for calling. Call now to secure your silver coins. Plus, get your free catalog just for calling. 1-800-222-3967. That's 1-800-222-3967.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Hi, I'm Dave Mizrahi, owner of Best Mattress. At our President's Day sale, save up to $1,800 on the brands you know and trust. Serta, Sealy, Beautyrest, Stearns & Foster, and Tempur-Pedic. Plus, get a free adjustable base with your queen mattress purchase of $599 or more. And pay no down and no interest for 24 months. Whether you're rah-rah for Reagan, mad for Madison, crazy for Carter, or gaga for Garfield, save big at the big President's Day sale at Best Mattress. Sleep easy, friends. See store for details.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, what's up, Las Vegas? It is the Vegas Take on a Friday. So glad you could join us. A lot to get to today. Yeah, it's kind of a busy news cycle. Not really a boring news cycle. Obviously, it's been an extremely difficult week in the sports world with Kobe Bryant tragedy that took place on Sunday. A gentleman coming on our show, he's the athletic director for Orange Coast College. Now, if you don't know why we're bringing up Orange Coast College, well, you should. Coach John Altobelli was in that helicopter, baseball coach over there, along with his wife and his daughter. They also perished in that helicopter crash with Kobe and his 13-year-old daughter and several others. Jason Keller, as I mentioned, he's the athletic director of Orange Coast College. He's going to be joining us. What did Coach John Altobelli mean to the community? His relationship with Kobe Bryant over the years. So we'll talk to the athletic director over there coming up at the bottom of the hour. Also, have you heard about this run-in? This is the reason why I'm not a Joe Biden supporter. This is one of the main reasons, because he takes a page from the Donald Trump playbook. It's a situation that took place in Iowa with an Iowa voter by the name of Ed Fallon. He gets into it with Ed Fallon, and it's a very testy exchange. And all this guy says is that, I'm not going to vote for you. I'm not going to caucus for you. But if it's you versus Donald Trump, I'm going to vote for you. And Biden took that and got defensive and just treated him like garbage. It's a real bad moment for Joe Biden. Anyway, this guy, Ed Fallon, that got into it with him, we're going to have him on the show, hour number 2, to talk a little bit about that. And, of course, the latest on this impeachment situation, it appears, although it's not 100%, it appears as though Donald Trump is going to be acquitted. Now, we're learning that the Senate may not decide on Trump's fate until next week. But you want to talk about a guy that I would call a coward in every name in the book, that would be Senator Lamar Alexander. I'll explain why coming up in hour number 2, and that's when we'll take a majority of your phone calls on this. But it does appear that Senator Lamar Alexander could be the difference in the reason why Donald Trump is being acquitted when it comes to witnesses and subpoenas with text messages, so on and so forth. We are living in dangerous times in this country right now, let me tell you. When the President of the United States can withhold aid for personal gain, and even many Republicans agree that what the President did was wrong, but basically what they're saying is he can do it again. We can't impeach him. Have to wait till the 2020 elections. It is downright ridiculous, and we all as Americans should be appalled with what is going on in the Senate right now. We all should be. And by the way, John Bolton, not to go on a tangent because we're going to talk a little bit more about this in hour number 2, but John Bolton is a piece of garbage. This man cares more about his book and making money than doing the right thing. How could anybody respect this guy now? And I mean anybody. He said, well, if you subpoena me, I'll talk. But he waits until he gets paid tons of money for his book deal. But he's not going to come out and just tell everybody what happened. You think John Bolton cares about this country? I'll tell you the only thing Bolton cares about, the money. It's all about the money. It's all about his bank account. This guy is a traitor. An absolute traitor and a scumbag is John Bolton. And we'll get more into that coming up in hour number 2. As I mentioned, hour number 3, we're certainly going to get to the Super Bowl. What are the craziest prop bets you can make on the Super Bowl? They're a lot of fun. We'll get to that with Nick Bogdanovich. He is the director of trading for William Hill, my favorite book in town. So he'll be joining us in hour number 3. And Tom Brady, did he really buy a home at Red Rock in that area? What is the proof? What do we know for sure? And is there any chance that Brady returns a New England Patriot? We'll get to all that coming up in hour number 3. I want to start with Kobe Bryant because this is the big news and the news that really has just surfaced. So, yes, you could call it breaking news. I haven't talked about this helicopter pilot who lost his life, and the reason why I haven't really talked about what could or could not have happened with him, and I haven't done a lot of speculation, is because we didn't have all the facts. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't helicopter malfunction. Well, guess what? We're learning 2 very important things about this helicopter pilot who decided to go up into the fog in bad conditions on Sunday, killed 8 people, including himself 9. We are now learning that the helicopter that crashed and killed Kobe Bryant and 8 others was reportedly not certified to fly in poor visibility. But wait a second, it gets worse than that. If that's not bad enough, according to the New York Times, the pilot, Ara Zobayan, he did have instrument certification, but even though he had that ability, he was bound by the company's certification not to rely on it. The pilot was also not necessarily certified to fly in these types of condition. I mean, it's just so disgusting to me that the pilot wasn't certified to fly in these type of conditions, and this actual helicopter was not the right helicopter certified to fly in these types of conditions. You know what that's like, folks? I'll make this analogy. It's almost like getting in the back seat of a car and allowing someone drunk to drive a vehicle. That is basically what it is like. That is what it is like. Because when you get inside a vehicle with someone that is drunk, well, they're incapacitated, right? Maybe their vision isn't there. Their judgment is off. That's the same case here. You're flying a helicopter that is not certified to fly in these types of conditions, and you have a pilot, I don't care how many hours he has, he obviously was not the right pilot to fly in these types of conditions. And by the way, that helicopter absolutely 100% should not have been in the air. When the LAPD says, we're not putting our helicopters in the air, but this pilot makes that decision with the wrong type of helicopter to fly in these conditions, not relying on instruments, the wrong type of helicopter to fly in these conditions, and he was the wrong pilot to fly in these conditions. Should we all be shocked on what took place? Like I said, it is like getting into a car with somebody that does not have the proper driver's license to drive a certain vehicle, and they might be incapacitated, or you might be driving a vehicle that is not the right vehicle to be driving in those type of conditions. It is an appetite for disaster. That's exactly what it is.
A recipe for disaster.
The island Express Helicopters owned the Sikorsky S-76B aircraft. It was certified to fly only under visual flight rules. So what does that mean? Well, if you recall, that fateful day on Sunday, the conditions were you couldn't see anything. There were no visuals. So if there are no visuals, how the hell could you take that helicopter up there? And at worst case scenario, this pilot, when he saw those conditions as bad as they were, why didn't he turn around immediately? He waited too late to turn around when he couldn't see anything.
Well, what he did was he circled for about 5 minutes, short of his destination, waiting for.
He circled for 15 minutes.
I'm sorry, for 12 minutes.
Near Burbank.
Around 5 times for 12 minutes. But yeah, he was supposed to be an instrument certified pilot. I mean, that's what the report was. That's what every single news outlet said, that he was an instrument certified pilot, and he only had 2.5 miles of visibility. He needed about 3. But if this is the case, if he wasn't instrument certified and this helicopter shouldn't have been up in the air, then these families have major lawsuits.
Well, they have lawsuits, but I'm not focusing on that because obviously that's not going to bring anybody back. And if there's anybody that doesn't need the money, it's the Bryant family.
But the other families.
Perhaps, but I'm not focused on that. I mean, listen, I know that people want to say, you shouldn't speak negatively about the deceased. I don't necessarily agree with that in certain situations. I agree with that in most situations. But clearly, now it is fair to say, based on the evidence that we have this morning, that this pilot killed 8 people, including himself 9. This was not helicopter malfunction. This was not a malfunction with the engine. This was not a malfunction with the chopper. This was 100% pilot error. Based on all the evidence we know right now, I think it's very fair to make that assumption. Now, I understand that the investigation is still ongoing and they're not making that official yet.
Right.
But when you learn that this pilot decided to take this helicopter in awful conditions, and the rules state that the pilot must be able to see the ground and can't rely solely on instruments, clearly that was not the case. This guy used horrendous judgment, and now, our producer Stein made a good point before we went on the air. He said, geez, I wonder if they knew they were in trouble. They might have, because if you remember, they were changing altitudes a couple minutes before they crashed, frantically changing altitudes. So this pilot might have been freaking out. I mean, there's a chance that they knew they were in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case, but...
And since there's no black box, we're never going to find out what actually was going on inside that helicopter.
But we still can. There's a chance, and I'll tell you why. Because we've learned that, not a laptop, but there's, what do you call it? There's a...
iPad.
There was an iPad, and they're trying to get the information from that iPad, and if they do, it could work as a black box.
Oh, absolutely.
Listen, I think it's pretty fair to figure out what happened here. I mean, I think it's pretty fair to make that assumption. And listen, obviously this guy didn't do it on purpose. What I look at it as...
he was in over his head.
What I look at it as almost as bad as a drunk driver. I really do. Because what do you do when you get inside a car when you're drunk? You're playing Russian roulette with society, right? You're not just harming yourself, you're harming innocent others. And, some drunk drivers can get home okay and nothing happens. Other drunk drivers can kill innocent people. See, the guy wasn't on drugs, he wasn't drinking, but when you're not certified to be up there in the air under those conditions and you do it anyway, you are using the worst possible judgment. And what do you do when you're drunk and you get into a car? You're using horrible judgment.
I have a little pushback on this because this guy was Kobe Bryant's personal pilot. So are you telling me that over the course of their relationship that he and he's also Kawhi Leonard's personal pilot, you're saying he never flew in those type of conditions with either of those guys before?
He very well might have, and we're never going to know the answer to that, but here's the way I'll respond to that question. You can fly in those conditions 1,000 times and nothing can happen. Doesn't make it right. All it takes is one time, and that's what happened here. We can learn information. If this pilot flew in those conditions 1,000 times, it wouldn't change my opinion one iota. It's just like the guy that drives drunk 100 times. Never hurts anybody. But that one time he kills innocent people, it's one time too many. This is the pilot's fault. We are going to learn it's the pilot's fault. He killed 8 people because of his lack of judgment. 8 innocent people lost their lives. They didn't know. I can't imagine when Kobe and his daughter, Kobe would never have wanted to put his daughter in a dangerous situation, and these idiots out there.
And that's why I think that Kobe had flown in those type of conditions with this pilot before.
That's very possible, but he's not a professional.
Which made him comfortable under the circumstances.
That might be very
because
possible.
He was a very, very smart, calculated guy.
That might be very possible, but he's not a professional pilot. And he doesn't, I'm sure he didn't understand, how dangerous those conditions were. They should have never been up in the air. And this is not Kobe Bryant's fault. And I refuse to blame anybody on that helicopter except for the pilot itself. That helicopter should have never been in the air, period.
And we had Kurt Dietz on, and in no uncertain terms, that's what he...
For those of you who don't know who Kurt Dietz is Kobe Bryant's former pilot from 2015 to 2017. He came on our show earlier in the week.
He was Kobe's personal pilot before era Zaboyan, and he, in no uncertain terms, basically, he kind of implied that the pilot was the one responsible.
So there's a lot of, obviously there's going to be tributes, not in the days, weeks, months, or probably years, maybe even decades. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be honored. Pretty cool stuff that LeBron James got a tattoo on his upper thigh. It's a Kobe tattoo on his thigh, and I believe Anthony Davis did the same thing. They both got tattoos, which I think is kind of a cool thing. That's going to be on his skin for the rest of his life. And I just thought that was really cool. That's how much he meant to, obviously, LeBron James. LeBron James has told the story the day before Kobe died, which is kind of eerie, how he got Kobe Bryant's shoes in Philadelphia when he was a kid. And it's heartwarming.
And the eeriest part of that monologue that he had was at the very end of it. He mentioned how you have to respect legends while they're still alive, and then within 12 hours he's dead.
Yeah, but going back to this helicopter pilot situation, my understanding, this company has grounded all of their helicopters. Now, clearly, those helicopters were not able to fly or should not have flown with that lack of visibility. The fact that it went in the air in the first place. You're right. There are going to be some lawsuits.
Huge lawsuits.
And I'm sure that company,
Massive.
I wouldn't be surprised if that company went under and they were done. And by the way, I hope they are.
Yeah, me too.
I hope they are. I really do. Because 8 innocent people lost their lives. I'm not going to call this pilot innocent anymore. I'm sorry, folks. I refuse to do that. I kept my mouth shut all week long, and I waited for more information to come out. When we're learning that that chopper was not the chopper that could be suited to fly in those conditions under any circumstances, and this pilot still decided to do it, it's his fault. It's this pilot's fault, period. And I am not going to sit here and try to sugarcoat anything and say, well, let's wait until the investigation finishes. We have all the evidence we need. We know exactly that that helicopter was not suited for those conditions, and it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. And if that pilot survived this crash, which, there was a very low, I would say that guy should be tried, should go to jail. It's like involuntary manslaughter when you kill 8 people. There's a good chance you're going to spend time behind bars. This pilot, it was a criminal activity. That was criminal. And I don't care if he flew in those conditions before. He should have never been up there, period. And it drives me nuts. And I'll tell you something, I never knew what Kobe meant to me, really, until he lost his life. Because, I didn't know the guy personally. We all hear these stories of all the people throughout the world that actually had relationships with Kobe and were friends with Kobe. And they're all heartwarming and they're touching. I've never gotten emotional over a celebrity losing their life. Never in my life have I ever. I've been sad. I was sad to hear that Prince died, Michael Jackson, great musicians. I was very sad to hear when Robin Williams took his own life. I was sad, but I didn't cry. I wasn't that emotional. This was completely different. And I think a lot of it has to do with what Kobe meant for everybody in the world, what he meant for people. I think it also had a lot to do with the circumstances of him losing his 13-year-old daughter. I just saw Kobe and his 13-year-old daughter, Gigi, 5 months ago at a Las Vegas Aces game. That affects you, man. That affects you when you see 2 people, having a good time at a basketball game, and now they're gone. That would affect anybody, and it certainly has affected me. I felt like, the hole in my heart. I felt like all week, and I'm not exaggerating here, like, I broke up with a girl I loved or something like that. I felt that feeling. I just felt heartbroken for his family, and it's just, it's a horrible thing. I go ahead.
And to me, it's been very, very, very weird for me because, in a situation like this, usually you would think that maybe this is a karmic scenario, and I don't believe that's the case here. And I put this on Twitter, but I think that Kobe, just based on what I've learned about him, I've watched a bunch of documentaries on him. I've watched just how he lived his life and what he did, and he was really an impressive guy in so many ways. And I feel like his death is going to lead to something, world changing or life changing in the world. I think his death is going to lead to something very, very significant that's going to happen in the near future. And I think that he is the closest thing to a martyr that I can remember in quite some time.
Well, I certainly hope so. If anything, Shaquille O'Neal's words, and we need to remember it, take the time every day to tell somebody you love them. We're never guaranteed tomorrow. If there's anything we should all take away from this, it's that. I mean, there's a lot you could take away from this. Of course, Kobe being so intelligent and wanting to help others. I mean, there's so many things I could say that you take away from something like this. But for people like Shaquille O'Neal that haven't talked to Kobe Bryant in 3 years, he's feeling a lot of guilt.
It's got to crush him.
And you have to just stop the little things in life and know what's important.
And let's be honest, the tiff was based on borderline jealousy.
Well, listen, Kobe was an extremely difficult person to play basketball with. And it's not because he hated everybody. It's because he demanded 150%.
His standard was so
and,
high.
Sometimes egos clash, and I think that's what happened there. Shaq showed up out of shape. Year in and year out, the guy was out of shape. I think Kobe went after him for that. And Shaquille was one of those guys that obviously was going to stand up for himself. And they clashed. But I think when it's all said and done, Shaq would agree with me when I say, look, they still loved one another. They had a mutual respect for one another. They had a rift. And sadly, Shaq, hasn't talked to him in 3 years. I think that's unacceptable. I don't blame Shaq for anything. I feel for him. Obviously, he has a lot of guilt. But again, if there's anything we take away from this, it's that stop it with the BS riffs that you have with people. If you care about somebody, if you love somebody, get over that crap, man. Get over it. I want to play you a tribute that the LA Clippers did last night, a tribute to Kobe, which I thought was, made me teary-eyed. It was really incredible. And Paul George, who was an all-star, did this 2-minute video tribute. I want to play it in its entirety for you because I think it was really incredible. It was awesome. And this was right before the game last night against the Sacramento Kings in LA. So have a listen to this.
Our city is suffering. 4 days ago in Calabasas, 9 lives were lost, leaving a gaping hole in the heart of Los Angeles. We gather tonight in the house that Kobe Bryant built to honor him and them. Kobe was as synonymous with Southern California as the sunshine. He touched every inch of it. He arrived in LA a prodigy, grew into a phenomenon, and retired a local institution and international icon. The outpouring of the past 96 hours is evidence of his everlasting impact. Whether he played for your team or against it, his allure was unmistakable. The dynamism, the determination, the drive. He won 5 championships with the Lakers, and shortly after unfurling his final fadeaway, earned an Academy Award. He was a storyteller, a mentor, and above all, a father. His 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, was a basketball star in her own right. Join us in tribute to Kobe, Gigi, and all the victims, mourn throughout the Southland and across the globe. Orange Coast College baseball coach John Altobelli, his wife Carrie, and their daughter, Alyssa, Sarah Chester, and her daughter, Peyton, Mamba Academy basketball coach Christina Mauser, and pilot Ara Zobayan.
That is, doesn't get more touching than that. Ooh. Speaking of one of those families that was torn apart from this helicopter crash, it's important to note, it wasn't just Kobe Bryant and his daughter. That wasn't bad enough. Coming up here in just a few minutes, boy, it's tough to talk after that, man. That is just, I'm at a loss for words. I thought Paul George and the Clippers did a fantastic job in honoring Kobe. I don't think he could have spoken more eloquently than that. I mean, that really said it all. So if you recall, Orange Coast College baseball coach John Altobelli was on that fateful chopper. And not only was he on there, but just like Kobe, he lost family members as well. It wasn't just him that was taken. It was also his wife, Carrie, and his daughter, Alyssa, who actually played, 12 years old, played on the same basketball team as Gigi. As I like to call them, the Mambasitas. That's what I like to call them. They all 3 of them lost their lives. I mean, it can't get more tragic than that. And as I mentioned, Kobe's assistant coach on that basketball team, she lost her life as well. There were several others. It's awful. So coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to be speaking with a man by the name of Jason Keller. He is the athletic director at Orange Coast College, a very difficult time for that university, and he is nice enough. He'll be joining us here in just a few minutes. And a quick reminder, a note, last night was the first basketball game at Staples Center since Kobe Bryant's death, and tonight, I don't know how they're going to do it, but the Lakers are in action. The Lakers are playing the Portland Trailblazers, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll tell you, my eyes are going to be glued to the TV because I'm going to want to watch and see how the players react, see how LeBron and Davis and all those guys react. I mean, it's not just about the superstars. I mean, guys like Jason Tatum, younger guys that grew up watching Kobe. Tatum said yesterday, Kobe Bryant is the reason why he started dribbling a basketball, the reason why many of these guys got into basketball and have careers.
I actually believe that, too.
Because of Kobe Bryant. Yeah, it's just sad. So Jason Keller will be joining us next. While it's just as important, to talk about Kobe, his legacy, and his 13-year-old daughter, it's just as important to talk about those others that lost their lives on this fateful helicopter crash. So the athletic director for Orange Coast College, Jason Keller, will be joining us next to talk about the legacy of Coach John Altobelli. I'm also curious to know his relationship with Kobe over the years. How long did he know Kobe? Was this the type of thing that he did on a regular basis where his family would be on these helicopter rides with Kobe Bryant? So these are the type of questions we will ask the athletic director, Jason Keller. Coming up next, you're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-244-6060. That's 800-244-6060. 800-244-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Special report, Trump impeachment trial. Washington is stirred by a report about John Bolton's upcoming book. The New York Times reports the former national security advisor says the president asked him to help get dirt on Democrats from Ukraine. White House correspondent Caitlin Collins.
Jerry Nadler said that Pat Cipollone should recuse himself from all of this because he was a fact witness. That is something the White House laughed off at the time when he said it. I believe it was last week. And now this is saying that Pat Cipollone was in the room with Mick Mulvaney and Rudy Giuliani. And, of course, John Bolton.
Up to this moment, it appeared Republicans were on the way to voting down witnesses and quickly acquitting the president.
The Senate Republicans are afraid of a trial, and they're afraid of the truth.
Democrat Dick Durbin says he's disappointed that Republican Lamar Alexander has decided to vote against witnesses. Today, the Senate is set to debate the witness question. A vote on the articles of impeachment could come either tonight or early tomorrow morning. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner Road Traffic Studio.
This report, sponsored by Accountemps, a crash with injuries reported at Martin Luther King Boulevard southbound south of the 95. Watch for police and fire, expect delays. And a crash on Sunset east of Las Vegas Boulevard. Another injury accident, Las Vegas Boulevard at the 215 Beltway. A fender bender, Russell Road at Grand Canyon Drive. And watch for slowing for police on scene for a hit-and-run accident investigation, Sahara at Jones. Do you need accounting professionals for long-term or recurring projects? Accountemps Salaried Professional Service provides exclusive access to top talent. Accountemps, a Robert Half company. John Michaels from the KDAWN Traffic Center.
At Staples, there's a whole lot more in store, like a huge selection of ink and toner in stock and at low prices every day. Stock up for the new year at Staples.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. Soon you'll have a separate fridge in the basement, where extra groceries are exiled forever. Remember that frozen lasagna? Of course you don't. It's been down there since 2008. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance. Piece of cake. Behind the lasagna, it's very old. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you can join us on a Friday. Man, this has been a rough week. It really has. It's hit home for me. I mean, I was a huge Kobe guy, and of course, it is absolutely fair, and the news cycle should continue to cover what Kobe Bryant meant, his daughter, his 13-year-old daughter, Gigi, but it is also important to remember those others that lost their lives on that fateful day on Sunday, and one of those great men is Coach John Altobelli, as I mentioned, the Orange Coast College baseball coach. Their season is getting ready to start. And it wasn't just Coach Altobelli. He also lost his wife, Carrie, and his daughter, Alyssa. It is an awful tragedy. We're very lucky to have with us on the line right now to talk about his legacy is Jason Keller, the athletic director for Orange Coast College. Mr. Keller, thank you so much for joining us under such difficult circumstances. We appreciate it, sir.
No, thank you. I've been saying all week, and Nate Johnson, our acting head coach, our big focus is making sure that we're telling John and Carrie and Liz's story this week. So anybody that wants to talk about John, we are more than happy to talk about him because he was just that amazing.
I appreciate that, and I certainly want to do that with you. If we can go back to, can you remember the first time you met John Altobelli? What do you remember about that conversation?
Oh, I've been trying to remember that. I've known John for close to 14, 15 years now. When I worked at another college in our conference, and his brother Tony has been getting a lot of love, obviously, this week. He's our sports information director,
right.
And that was the position I held. And so my first interaction, I wish I could remember it completely, but it would have been similar to, the baseball game, and I'm walking over to get a starting lineup from Coach Alto.
Right.
But over the years, those conversations got longer and longer, and he really took the time to chat with me pregame. You could always see the wheels turning, but he still would take the time and talk to me before first pitch and see how everybody was doing. He was great like that.
And I wanted to ask you, what was his relationship like with Kobe Bryant? I understand that his daughter played on the same team as Gigi, correct? That's my understanding. But what was his relationship like with Kobe Bryant? How long did they know each other for?
Yeah, the relationship was through their daughters. They played basketball together, and that's been a few years now. And it was a really good relationship. John talked fondly about it, and he loved telling Kobe stories. He was never bragging about it. It was a buddy of his, and more than anything, it was talking about Alyssa and what she was doing with basketball. But they were close. I know John told me a story after we won the state championships this last May that he came home and he had presents from Kobe, like congratulations from Kobe.
Wow.
They were close, and John had Kobe out to a practice before to talk to the team, and it was a good friendship.
That's incredible. So they were obviously flying to a basketball game where his daughter and Kobe's daughter were playing. I hate to ask you this question, but when was the first moment that you had heard about this horrific tragedy?
It was noon on Sunday, and it all unfolded really quickly. The first thing I heard, it was a text message about Kobe. It was, kind of the question, Kobe died today? And I instantly said, what? And then I instantly got a text message from one of my coaches that was asking, hey, could you get a hold of John? I know he flies with Kobe sometimes.
Oh, boy.
And I tried calling John, got his voicemail, and so I called his brother. And all in total, it was by 12:05 was when I was on the phone with Tony, and he was saying, it's true. And he said, you heard the news? I said, yeah. Wait, what news? And he said John was with them.
Oh, no.
Devastating.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry you and the entire Orange Coast College family having to go through this. It's just terrible. If you're just joining us, his name is Jason Kaler. He is the athletic director for Orange Coast College. On that fateful helicopter flight, it was Coach John Altobelli also losing his wife and his daughter, which makes it even more worse than it already was. I guess moving forward now, Jason, my understanding is you guys played your first game the other day on Tuesday. Knowing what he meant to your university and to all the players that he coached, how do you get through this? I know that's kind of a loaded question. I'm just trying to go back, John, or Jason, I'm sorry, when I was, in college and I played college tennis, and if something had happened to my coach like this, I don't know how I'd be able to play. I mean, how are these strong young men able to get through this?
And that's it. That's just it. They've been strong. We did play Tuesday. The game didn't finish, so we are still kind of in the middle of our season opener, if you will. But I left the decision up to the team, and I told Coach Johnson, I said, it's going to be up to the guys what they want to do, if they want to practice, if they want to play. And we were on the field on Sunday after we heard the news, and some of our leadership on the team, a couple players came up to me and they said, we want to practice tomorrow and we're going to play Tuesday. And all I've been telling the guys every day, today's the first day I haven't seen them yet. I just haven't been on campus. I'll be checking in with them at practice in a little while. But every day I just keep telling them how proud I am. They have shown amazing strength. They want to play in John's honor. They want to keep playing baseball because John would have wanted to keep playing baseball.
And I want to share a story that I think is kind of heartwarming, and you've alluded to this, and it's the fact that Coach John Altobelli always would tell you, and he would tell people that he wanted the foul poles painted because there was like rust on the foul poles, right? And I guess it was never done. And I kind of want you to take it from there, but I guess you had a moment yourself on the field where you were kind of talking to John from up above. Can you just give me a little bit of that story? Because I think it's kind of heartwarming, it's kind of funny, and maybe you could share that with us if you can.
Yeah, so we had, with John's efforts, we got our field redone a few years ago to synthetic turf, and with it, the fences had to be replaced. So it left these gaps on the foul poles where the brackets used to be, and so there's these rusty, like 2-3 inch gaps. And I keep saying 70% of my text messages from John are probably, what's the update on the foul poles? When are the foul poles getting painted? So Sunday I'm on the field, I'm crying, I'm at a loss. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know where we're going to go. And I look up and I look right at the right field foul pole, and I just shook my head and I said, oh, of course, sorry, John, the foul poles still aren't painted. It's just,
yeah.
There's a part of me that almost doesn't want to paint them now so that I keep remembering that. But
sure.
Yeah, that was a moment for me, definitely.
Do you remember the last conversation you had with Coach Altobelli, and can you share that with us?
Yeah, it was Friday, and we were gearing up for the season, and I was just looking for an excuse to go to the baseball field. So I walked his eligibility paperwork out to him to have him sign off on his team's eligibility. And we sat in the dugout together, and we were catching up on what some of his guys needed last minute to be eligible. We were going over some guys that left the team, and we were just having a normal conversation, just a normal. It was a Friday. We were just chatting, sitting in the dugout, and I remember telling him, "Hey, send this guy over to our office. We'll get some paperwork done for him. We'll get him ready." And he just smiled. He said, "Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it." And as I remember walking away from the dugout, seeing his smile, and that was my last time seeing John.
That is touching. That is unbelievable. I guess I have to ask you this question because, I didn't know any of these people personally, but, I've been just blown away and hurt by what took place, as we all have. And now my hurt is turning into anger. And I'm sure Coach John Altobelli would not want that to happen. I'm sure all those on that helicopter, including Kobe, would not want us to be angry. However, I'm angry. And Jason, I don't know if you can comment on this, but we learned some revelations today, learning that helicopter was not fit to fly in those conditions, and we're also learning that the pilot was not fit to fly in those conditions, that he can only rely on sight, not on instruments. And when I hear these types of things, and listen, I don't want to speak negatively about the pilot, but when I hear about these things, this was something that could have easily been prevented, Jason, and I'm angry. I'm angry that this should have never happened.
I hadn't heard any of that. That's news to me.
Yeah, it just came out this morning, and it's troubling.
Yeah, I don't know. That's wow. That's hard to process right now.
Yeah.
I think all I can do is what we've been doing. We're taking it day by day.
Sure.
I don't even know if I can process that right now.
No, I understand. Yeah, that's news that just broke out this morning, and it's certainly troubling news. But the investigation is ongoing, so we're going to continue to cover it. I wanted to ask you about this. I understand that Kobe's wife has put out some sort of GoFundMe page for all the others that lost their lives in that chopper. Can you give us any information on some of the things that you are doing? Any information we could get out to our listeners so you can help not just the Altobelli family, but all the others that lost their lives in that crash? What can you guys tell us?
Yeah, we have started through our college foundation. We have a memorial fund that we have started on John's behalf and for JJ and Lexi, his remaining children. One of our coaches, Coach Pia, started a GoFundMe account as well. And my understanding, the Red Sox have an account or a fundraiser they started in honor of the Altobelli family. His son JJ is a scout with the Boston Red Sox, and so it's been tremendous just to know that JJ and Lexi have the support they have, and know that they're being taken care of. That's our number one priority right now. We need their family. We keep talking about Pirate family. John was about Pirate family, and they've always been Pirate family, and now they we really need to take care of our Pirate family in this moment.
Yeah, I agree. Jason, can you talk a little bit about his wife, Carrie, and his daughter, Alyssa? For those that were never able to meet them, can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, Carrie was great. She was so supportive of John. She was at almost every home baseball game, and I always stood not far from the dugout, close to where John called offensive plays on the bottom half of the inning, and she'd come by every time she was there. She'd walk over, talk to John for a minute. She'd say hi. Just incredibly supportive, great mother. Lexi and Liz, amazing young women. The last time I saw Alyssa, she was actually in our gym shooting hoops with John. It was cool to just from across the gym. John just kind of looked up and nodded and gave me a smile, and they just were working on shooting baskets. And I remember both Lexi and Liz when they were little and out on the baseball field, always supporting Dad, and just really beautiful people.
It sounds like John. Correct me if I'm wrong. It just sounds like John and Kobe had a lot in common. Great fathers, great husbands, family people. Family first. Is that pretty accurate to say that?
Absolutely. Coach Johnson has been telling that story. When you meet John, you become family, and he takes care of you as family. And I've definitely felt that since I knew John from my years at another college, and then I came on board, and he gave me that respect and that love, and it was always family. Everything was family. His players were family. He took care of everybody. He's just that awesome.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people. And Jason, let me just say, first of all, thoughts and prayers for the entire community there. And I can't thank you enough for taking some time just sharing some of these stories. I'm sorry for your loss. And it's a horrible tragedy. We all could agree on that. But his legacy, the legacy of his wife and his daughter and everyone else who lost their lives in that helicopter crash on Sunday will live with us and be with us forever. Jason, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Again, we appreciate every chance we can to talk about John. So
Thank you.
A lot.
Thank you. Very, very kind of you. Thank you. That is Jason Kaler, athletic director for Orange Coast College. I'm so glad to hear that the Boston Red Sox are getting involved. In troubled times like this, it's amazing how people come together to help others. That's what Kobe would have wanted. I'm sure that's what Coach John Altobelli would have wanted. And we need to remember all those that lost their lives on that fateful day on Sunday. It's amazing. It hasn't even been a week yet. It's been, 5 days, and I still feel it, man. It's like it's not even real. I watch these games on TV, and I just don't get it. I still can't put it into words. It's so sad.
I watched a video of Kobe Bryant back in 2002 when he went to Rucker Park, and he played in New York City against all those street ballers, and he just destroyed them. But he did things like that on a regular basis. He played basketball whenever he could. he didn't care who he was around. He gave his 100% best effort at all times. He was extremely generous with the media.
And I've been searching a lot of different videos that I never would have searched if he was still with us, sadly.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
So last night and the night before, I was watching a video of Kobe coaching his girls team just in a private gym, and I guess he allowed a camera crew in there just to film it and watch. The great coach that he was so good working with young kids. Keep in mind, this was a guy that played at the highest level for years and years, college, no college, NBA, straight from high school to the NBA. And then he was able to turn that switch off and be patient with these 12-year-old girls, and he did such a wonderful job. It was unbelievable, so touching. So I watched that video. That was a couple days ago. That got me teary-eyed. I was literally crying watching that because it just hurt me to see how good he was, And then yesterday, I'm watching some of the TV appearances he's made after he retired. Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and I'm watching a couple of the appearances he made on one on Ellen DeGeneres, for example. A kid had cancer. He was just diagnosed with cancer. This is like an 8-year-old kid. I don't know if he's still alive or not. I hope he is. But Kobe just makes a 3-minute appearance on the show, decides to drive to the Ellen DeGeneres show, very busy schedule. He shows up. He signs jerseys for the kid. He gives him a hug, treating him like it's his own son. And then Ellen DeGeneres asked him, I remember she asked him, why did you decide to be here? Why did you decide to do this? And his answer will resonate with me forever. Whenever I look at a Kobe jersey or look at an image of Kobe, his answer was so simple yet so profound. He said, we are here on this earth for one main reason, and that is to help others when we can. And to me, it resonates with me because I don't always do that. People have called me a very selfish person, and at times I am very selfish, but it makes me think to myself, isn't he so right? We should be here to help other people when we can. You can't help everybody, and obviously if you're Kobe Bryant, you have the means to help people, far more than I could, but at the same time, sometimes helping someone, it's just words. Sometimes helping someone, it's just giving them a confidence, saying something nice.
Or sending them a video like he sent Emmanuel Omogbo.
Yeah.
And Larry Eustace, who came on our show a couple of days ago when he was a coach at Colorado State.
Yeah.
One of his players had his family tragically die over in Africa. And Kobe Bryant didn't know this guy. He didn't know Kobe either, but he heard about the story.
Yeah.
And he sent him a 20-minute personal video basically telling him that things are going to be okay.
Well, it hurts, man. You can't. If anyone says anything about me, they can't say I'm fake. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a pretty genuine person, and I'm telling you right now. I mean, I feel it right now. I mean, all week I've been so upset and heartbroken for him and his family, and for all the others that lost their lives. It's just such a horrible story. There's just no way around it. It's horrible. And maybe I feel a little bit more closer than many. I was fortunate enough to interview the guy over a dozen times. I was able to see the trash talking with LeBron James in a private gym at Valley High School. I was able to see him sign autographs and take pictures for kids when there were no cameras around. There were no videos around. It was just him signing autographs and taking the time.
And that's what you call integrity.
I mean, the guy just, every time I saw the guy, I remember All-Star Weekend. I remember he did that. I remember USA Basketball. He took the time to do that. I remember, some of the charity events he's done here, the poker tournaments. I mean, the guy spent a lot of time in Las Vegas, and I was fortunate enough to meet him on several occasions, and I just shook his hand and saw him 6 months ago. He doesn't know who the hell I am, but I just said, Mr. Bryant, good to see you. That's all I said to him. I shook his hand, didn't want to bother him. He was sitting there with his daughter. He was very cordial, and my friend Brian Salmon, who works for Channel 3, actually did the last interview that anyone ever did in Las Vegas with Kobe Bryant at that Aces game, and he did a really good job with that, and Kobe rarely ever said no to an interview. And, there's a lot of guys that are 12th man on the bench on an NBA team that say no to interviews. And this guy's going to go down as one of the best, if not the best, basketball player of all time. But hopefully there are plenty of fathers out there, particularly those in the NBA, that could take a page from Kobe's playbook and be more involved in your family's life and your kid's life. Because I think there are too many people in the world, not just in the NBA, that do not do that.
And one of the things that I think about that really kind of chokes me up as well is the fact that the only reason that Kobe was on that helicopter without the belly and the other family, because their kids all played together. Kobe was the coach, and he wanted those parents. He said, "Hey, how about you come support your kids?" and I've got this helicopter. You can just fly with me. I mean, that's how the conversation went. Just get in my helicopter. We'll be fine. But these kids have to have their parents at these games, so it helps them out. And I know that's what the conversation was, and he was trying to, to help the entire team,
right?
To help the players in the team, and this ends up happening out of it. It was all for good reasoning. And that's why all this that's why they were on the helicopter.
It still doesn't feel real. It's not like every day we're going to have guests come on and talk about Kobe Bryant. Certainly, it was very timely to do it this week. But there's going to be, he hasn't even been laid to rest yet, and we're still going to cover this. I can't wait to see how the NBA All-Star weekend, how they honor Kobe. I think it's going to be great. The Super Bowl coming up in a few days. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl in hour number 3, but certainly there's going to be plenty of events and moments of silence for Kobe Bryant, rightfully so. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, earlier in the week, we talked about a UNLV player who had a heart attack in his early 20s. We have an update on that for you, and our producer will be giving us that update coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDAWN.
If you need to sell your house, talk to Aaron Taylor. You want to sell it fast and get the most cash, talk to Aaron Taylor, the real estate guy.
Aaron Taylor here, your #1 real estate guy. 2019 was an incredible year, and 2020 will be even better. We have designed a 3-step program to get our sellers the most money possible. Number 1, sellers that want a cash offer, we will provide you several offers from all iBuyer companies, Zillow, OfferPad, Opendoor, and all local investors. Number 2, we will pay and do all repairs with our crew and list your property to get you the highest price. Number 3, for our traditional sellers, we will provide our 25 years of experience along with our exceptional marketing campaign, all to get you the most money possible. And to top it all off, we give a cash advance within 24 hours if needed for all sellers. Call 702-310-6683. That's 702-310-MOVE. eXp Realty, call for details.
Talk to Aaron Taylor, the real estate guy.
I'm Ben Utek. I played high school, college, and pro football, helping my team win the 2006 championship. It was an amazing day, but it can't compare to the joy I feel every day with my loving wife and 3 beautiful daughters. My football career ended after I suffered my 5th concussion. Did you know that over 1 million athletes suffer a concussion each year? That includes boys and girls, every age, every type and level of sport. It isn't always clear that a player has had a concussion, so parents, athletes, and coaches need to learn about concussion signs and symptoms. The American Academy of Neurology recommends athletes thought to have a concussion be immediately removed from play and not returned until assessed by a healthcare professional trained in concussion. This isn't just about sports. It's about your brain. When in doubt, sit it out. Learn more at aan.com/concussion. That's aan.com/concussion. A message from the American Academy of Neurology.
When a counselor asked how much my husband drinks, I said, not that much. I don't know why I said that. He always drank too much. But I guess I'm so used to keeping it a secret that I didn't tell the truth to myself or anyone else. My husband has drinks with friends after work. He has a couple of drinks at home with dinner and a few more while we watch TV. Pretty soon he's shouting at me and blaming me for all of his problems. I just can't take it anymore. A counselor recommended Al-Anon family groups. She said Al-Anon members have had experiences just like mine, and they would explain how Al-Anon is helping them. I didn't want to go to Al-Anon, but I'm sure glad I did. Is someone's drinking breaking your heart? You might be surprised at what you can learn at an Al-Anon family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
All right, coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by a man by the name of Ed Fallon. He got into a verbal dispute with Joe Biden. Boy, does it make Joe Biden look really bad. It happened in Iowa. We have the audio for you. We will play that for you, and Ed will be joining us coming up in the next segment. But we have a quick update for you on this UNLV football player who had a heart attack the other day. Stein, what can you tell us about this?
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, JD. Nice to be here.
Darren, well, I can tell when you're lying.
In all seriousness, Darren Williams, 22 years old, plays for UNLVs from Oklahoma. We talked about this yesterday. He had a heart attack and was put into a medically induced coma. Well, we now know that through his father talking to the newspaper says he's out of the coma and responding to his commands. He's aware of what happened. They're going to be doing some more tests on him, but he is responding. Now, the interesting thing is when he woke up from his coma sooner than expected, he thought he was back in Oklahoma. He was disoriented and he didn't know where he was.
Did he think Tony Sanchez was still the coach? I'm sorry, that's a
No,
horrible
that's
joke.
it.
It's a terrible joke.
He thought he was in Oklahoma, but anyway, the father says they're still not out of the woods. They're going to be doing tests on him. Now, we've come to find out that he had this heart attack while doing some warm-up sprints before the official team workout. So, according to the father, he was just kind of off and doing some sprints on his own. And they do not blame the school. And in fact, they thank athletic director Desiree Reed-Francois and the coaches and everybody else for doing such a good job taking care of him.
That's nice to hear, because certainly if he was overworked or the university was in fault in any way, I would imagine the father would have spoken out about it. So that
does not appear to be the case.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just say this. I'm glad to hear that, but I'm more than glad to hear that this kid is doing better and he's improving. To me, that's the most important part of the story. We want to make sure that he gets through this okay. It appears to me, and again, I'm speculating. That's my job, to speculate. It appears to me he had to have some sort of heart ailment. There's something going on there. Unless he took something that he shouldn't take.
It's either a preconditioned genetic disease of some sort, or he was taking a performance-enhancing drug.
Then you know what? It's a blessing in disguise, because they're going to find it now, and the kid's not going to lose his life. They're going to find out what went wrong to try to prevent something like this from happening again. The family should be thanking their lucky stars. It did happen.
But I would say there's a good chance that he doesn't play football for quite some time.
All right, so as I mentioned, thank you, Stein. Coming up next, we're going to be talking to a man by the name of Ed Fallon. He's an Iowa voter. He had a run-in with Joe Biden, and it does not appear to look good. It's not a good look for Joe Biden. Let's just put it that way. He wasn't inappropriately touching the guy, but you could make the argument that he was. I'll explain exactly what that means. Coming up next, we will have Ed Fallon on the show. You're listening to The Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Kilmeade, Hannity, Levin, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Special report, Trump impeachment trial. A breaking report says the president instructed his former national security aide to assist him in getting Ukraine to dig up dirt on Democrats, months before the infamous July call in which the president mentions the Bidens to Ukraine President Zelensky. Correspondent Caitlin Collins reports the information comes from the New York Times.
They say in early May there was a meeting in the Oval Office with President Trump, Rudy Giuliani, Mick Mulvaney, the chief of staff, and Pat Cipollone, the White House counsel who is now leading the president's defense on the Senate floor, where President Trump instructed John Bolton, then, of course, at the time, the national security advisor, to connect Rudy Giuliani with the new president.
The Senate trial will resume momentarily. A potential Senate vote to acquit the president is expected to come tonight or early tomorrow. The president is denying the report in the Times and says the meeting Bolton writes about never happened. I'm Mike Moss. The FBI is responding to an incident at Mar-a-Lago, the president's Florida home. Correspondent Kristen Holmes with the breaking details.
A vehicle and suspects are currently in custody. So the way that they describe the situation is essentially the Florida Highway Patrol was following a black SUV as it barreled towards two security points outside of Mar-a-Lago. It broke through both of those security points before eventually officials launching fire into that vehicle. Now, again, the vehicle then sped off. They were eventually tracked down, and again, this vehicle and these suspects are currently in custody.
The president is scheduled to visit Mar-a-Lago later today. China is expressing frustration that the U.S. is now recommending against travel to China over concerns about the spreading coronavirus. 200 reported dead, more than 10,000 now infected. On Wall Street, the Dow down 493, S&P down 50 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's. Watch for slowing for a traffic hazard reported on the southbound 95 on the west side. This will be just approaching Summerlin Parkway on southbound 95. And on the surface streets, a crash at Martin Luther King Boulevard southbound south of the 95. Injury sustained with a crash sunset east of Las Vegas Boulevard. And on I-15 southbound, almost a complete recovery. Still some light slowing between Charleston and Sahara. Pros do it right by shopping at Lowe's to save on the supplies they need most from the brands they trust to get the job done. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
If your business is in need of office furniture, look no further than Office Furniture Concepts. From executive furniture to workstations, conference tables to reception furniture, and more, Office Furniture Concepts has got you covered. With true commercial-grade quality at competitive prices and knowledgeable staff, it's no wonder Office Furniture Concepts has been serving the Las Vegas community for over 2 decades. Visit Office Furniture Concepts showroom on West Tropicana at Arville or call 702-873-8555. That's 702-873-8555.
Valentine's Day is coming up, and guys, why not give her that gift that keeps on giving? Hey, John Schaefer here for my friends at New Mel Medical, and this year you can skip the flowers and chocolates and schedule a visit with the doctors at New Mel Medical. You see, low testosterone can lead to a lack of energy, weight gain, even a poor performance in the bedroom, but New Mel Medical is the leader in men's sexual health, and you'll see results on your very first visit, or that visit is free. And guys, popping a little blue pill, well, that's just a temporary fix. New Mel Medical is going to create a long-term, custom-tailored solution specific to you. They'll have you feeling better and performing better. Just ask the tens of thousands of men in the Las Vegas area alone who had the courage to give them a call. NewMel.com. That's NUMALE.com. 702-505-4414. That's the number. You know, she's going to love a new you, but it starts with a trip to New Mel Medical. Don't see a cheap imitation. New Mel Medical is the leader in men's sexual health. Go to the originators. Make her happy this Valentine's Day. Pick up the phone and call 702-505-4414 or visit NewMail.com.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Do not worry. We will get to these impeachment votes, the witness voting, so to speak, in this Senate trial. It could be coming to an end. We'll get to that coming up here in just a few minutes. But a situation that took place in Des Moines, Iowa is very interesting and sad to me, and it is one of the main reasons why I am not a Joe Biden supporter. I want to play you a story that came out of KCCI, which is out of Des Moines, and it's a story about Joe Biden having a little bit of a run-in with a local Iowa voter by the name of Ed Fallon. Have a listen to this.
I was really kind of taken aback. I was genuinely shocked.
Des Moines activist Ed Fallon says his brief conversation with Vice President Joe Biden happened Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Biden made a quick campaign stop at Urban Dreams in Des Moines. Fallon waited in line for a picture and wanted to confront Biden on his climate change proposals. Another member of Fallon's bold Iowa group recorded the cell phone video.
I'm going to support you if you win the nomination because we got to get rid of Trump.
It started off fine, but Biden quickly became agitated when Fallon didn't agree to support him in the caucuses.
We got to stop building and replacing pipelines.
You got to go vote for somebody else.
All right, thanks so much, sir. We're going to have you here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm going to vote you in the general if you treat
Yeah,
me
I
right.
know. Well, no, I'm not.
Well, can I have a
Look, you're asking a picture of me. You're coming up and telling me you don't support me.
No, no, no.
My plan. Yeah, you did. You said
I said I would support you in the general.
In the general. I'm looking for a primary.
We're happy to
and a
get a number.
caucus.
We can follow up.
That's what I'm looking for, okay?
Just because
Now,
we're finding it.
You believe that Bernie can do something by 2030?
I'm actually supporting Tom Steyer.
The first surprise is that Biden told Fallon to vote for someone else.
I did not expect to be told
to leave, to go vote for somebody else, and then to be lectured about.
And then he presses on Fallon's chest, pokes him with a finger, and finally grabs his jacket with two hands.
It was not appropriate interaction for anybody. I mean, if I'd done that to him, the security would have been all over me.
Fallon is not asking for an apology from the Biden campaign, but he would take one. He's more concerned with finding the right candidate to fight climate change and beat President Trump.
I don't think he can beat Trump. I really don't. And you have actively telling people like me, don't vote for me, go vote for somebody else. Well, that's not helpful. That's not helpful at all.
Well, the guy joining us on the line right now is that man, Ed Fallon, who had this run-in with Joe Biden. Ed, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. How are you?
What's up, Ed?
Hello, I'm good.
Well, Ed, when you hear that story, I'm sure when you asked to take a picture with Joe Biden, you didn't expect to be a part of the story and have that sort of exchange, did you?
No, I thought we would just have another. I mean, gosh, I've talked to the guy, well, me or others with Bold, Iowa. We've probably talked to him a dozen times, and I didn't expect it to go that way.
So,
Seth, you might just answer the question, you know?
Of course. So a normal reaction to me, and again, I'm not a politician, but a normal reaction would be like, all right, well, how do I get you to vote for me in this, in this primary? Tell me, what do you need? And then I would listen to you. But let me ask you this question first. And by the way, I am not defending Joe Biden the way he treated you. I thought it was disgusting. Okay, let me just be clear on this. I'm on your side. However, set the scene for me. How many people are waiting in line to take a picture with the vice president?
Not that many, actually. It was, I don't know, 25, 35 maybe. I'm not quite sure.
All right.
People in front of me, there were people in front of me who had taken a lot longer to gab with him than I was. They just
okay, that's important.
Didn't like what was going on.
Okay, it's important to get that kind of context because my first reaction was, okay, I think it's a fair question what you asked, but how many people are waiting in line? Maybe he was a little agitated and he was in a rush, but from what you're telling me, that was not the case. So what is going through your mind? Let's start with the physical aspect of what took place here. What is going through your mind? Because in the video, he grabs you with both of his hands. He grabs like your jacket. That's beyond inappropriate. And then he points his finger in your chest. What is going through your mind when he's making that sort of physical contact with you?
Well, I wasn't totally surprised because that's the second time that Joe Biden has poked me in the chest.
You're kidding me.
Another video, there's another video of me and Kathy and a whole bunch of Grinnell College students talking with him after a CNN forum in Grinnell last year, and he got kind of physical with us then too. Not as much. I mean, this was worse, but I wasn't totally surprised. But it just shocked me that he would tell me to go vote for somebody else.
Yeah, why would he?
That's
just so pompous. So let me ask you this. Again, I'm not a politician, but let me ask you this. If he had responded to you in kind by saying, and didn't touch you, and just said, sir, Mr. Fallon, tell me what I need to do in order for you to support me and caucus for me. What do I need to do? And let's just say you mentioned the pipeline, and you mentioned some of the other things that are important to you. If he actually listened to you, could that have changed your mind?
Probably not, because we've been talking to him for a long time, and it's pretty clear that other candidates are stronger on climate than Joe Biden is. And stronger, and again, I think, Iowans are concerned about climate change and healthcare. Those are our top two concerns. But the overriding concern is who can beat Donald Trump. And I think it's becoming clearer and clearer to more and more people here that this is not the guy who can do it. He's not focused, he's not stable, he's not clear about where he stands, and he just has an inability to control his hands and his tongue. I mean, the gaps are all over the place as well.
I don't disagree with that.
Do you think that the Democrats have a viable candidate right now to beat Trump?
But, I think, here's my take. The Democrats have been making the mistake, for the most part, of nominating insider candidates. Well, Republicans have made that mistake, too. Every presidential candidate who has been perceived to be the insider in this century has lost. Al Gore, John Kerry, John McCain, Mitt Romney, Hillary Clinton. The insider always loses. People are fed up with the status quo across the political spectrum. So when you get a candidate like Joe Biden, the consummate insider, yeah, you're going to see another Trump victory. But I think if you start thinking about who's kind of coming at it from a more edgy, outside, provocative perspective, you've got Sanders, Warren, Steyer, again, my favorite, Steyer. You got Tulsi Gabbard. I think Tulsi Gabbard would have been a really strong opponent for Trump, but she's been kind of tanked by the DNC and some of their allies in the corporate media.
Right.
So I think there are plenty of candidates who can give Trump a good run for his money. It ain't Joe Biden.
All right, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Ed Fallon, an Iowa voter who had a run-in with Joe Biden. I think it's fair to call it that. Biden was extremely rude to him, put his finger in his chest, grabbed him with both of his hands, and said, "Don't vote for me." I mean, just absolutely. I'm just blown away. This is the guy that's trying to be the president of the United States.
It's just crazy to think about when you actually when you describe it like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, Ed, let's talk a little politics, though. So you said you're a Tom Steyer supporter. I'm going to tell you why I am not a Tom Steyer supporter. You can tell me where you think I'm wrong. I don't want a billionaire running this country. I don't want somebody that does not know what it's like living paycheck to pay. Now, listen, I have a lot of respect for him. Unlike Donald Trump, nobody handed Tom Steyer anything. He started small. So I do have respect for him. But I'm more comfortable with a guy like a Pete Buttigieg, who is not worth a gazillion dollars, who knows what it's like in the year 2022 struggle. And that's, I mean, my personal opinion, you put Tom Steyer on a stage with Donald Trump, Tom Steyer has absolutely no chance to win. Now, with that being said, I'm not a Joe Biden supporter. I don't want to vote for the guy, but a lot of people say this to me. They say, Democrats, they say, if Joe Biden gives the Democrats the best chance to win in the battleground states, therefore, the best chance to defeat Donald Trump. Where am I wrong? Where do you disagree?
Well, I think, I have a natural inclination to not want to support billionaires as well.
Yeah.
And one advantage that you have this advantage in Nevada as well. You get to vote after New Hampshire, which is, I think, pretty cool. But I've spent a lot of time with Steyer. I mean, he's been over to my house. His wife has been here. His daughter's been here. Yeah. And we've talked to them extensively. I've probably spent 3 hours with them altogether, maybe more.
I respect that.
Yeah, and it kind of, he's really sharp, and his wife and his daughter are just brilliant when it comes to sustainable agriculture, and that's really important to me and my partner Kathy. We are urban farmers. We grow food, and they understand that a lot, and that meant a lot to me. But one thing is, Steyer is the only candidate saying that he will declare a climate emergency on day one. I asked Sanders the same question, and Sanders didn't say he would do that. He kind of deflected the question and said, "Well, yeah, we're offering legislation to declare a climate emergency." How long is that going to take?
Well, that's fair. Yeah. No, listen,
so I mean,
it's fair.
To me, Steyer's ahead in that category, and he's a nice guy.
Listen, I'm going to take you for your word. I've never spent time with Tom Steyer, and the fact that you have and that he was in your home, I respect that a great deal. And it's not that I don't have respect for Steyer, by the way. Like I said, his father didn't hand him a $500 million company. He earned it. That is something about Steyer I do respect a great deal. I have to ask you this. Has Joe Biden ever sniffed your hair or, like, kissed you on the neck, or has he ever gone that far?
No, he hasn't. But funny story, though. I was a legislator for 14 years, and then I ran for governor in 2006, and I did pretty well. So I started getting calls from all the candidates, and Joe Biden called, and I said, "Well, let's get together for beer and pizza." I was kind of being a smart ass, and he took me up on it. So we had a beer. We had a game of pool. He won. He's pretty good at pool, by the way. And he never sniffed my hair in the entire hour we were together. But I will say this. He asked me, "So what did you talk about in your campaign?" And I spoke for about 20 seconds, and then he went off and he talked for the next hour. And I realized I can never support this guy. He is not a listener.
Oh,
He's got great stories. He's very entertaining. He does not know how to listen.
However,
back in 2006.
That's an interesting story. However, I will say this. When he's on the debate stage, he said time and time again, I think my time is up. So I think he chokes under pressure. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah.
That is an interesting habit of his, yes.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think that he is all there mentally? I mean, do you think he has the mental acuity to handle a role like President of the United States?
That's a good question. I don't feel like I'm a judge of that or really can tell, but I do say when you hear him up close, he makes lots of ridiculous errors. I mean, once when we do some edgy things here with Bold, Iowa. We had 6 people dressed like penguins standing in front of him at his announcement rally on May 1st, and we forced him to talk more about climate. And he was identifying the major oil producers in the world, and he said Nicaragua. And I checked, and Nicaragua's total global output, total output of oil is 0 barrels a year. So I think he meant Venezuela. But strange mix-up.
Oh boy.
He was talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline and the oil coming from Canada. No, it comes from North Dakota. And instead of saying, "Oh, I'm wrong," he tried to somehow say that he was still right. It was just He's not tracking on a lot of details.
No, he's not.
And just doesn't handle it very well.
And again,
when he's wrong.
And again, I've said it time and time again. I'm not a Joe Biden supporter. It'd be very difficult for me to vote for him under any circumstance. But listen, you have my approval, and this is all that matters, Ed. If you ever get into a situation where Joe Biden puts his finger into your chest, slap it away. Go ahead. If the Secret Service tackles you, sue their asses. He is in your personal space. Bite his finger off. Take it away. No, don't do that, Ed. We don't want you to get arrested.
That's very entertaining advice, but I'm not sure it's good advice.
It's probably not good advice, Joe. Ed,
it's very questionable advice.
Ed, don't listen to me. You could sniff his hair, though. He might enjoy that. But Ed, in all seriousness, my friend, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry that he treated you that way. You sound like an extremely intelligent guy. And I respect your vote for Tom Steyer. I really do. Even though I might not be voting for him, I respect the fact that you've actually met him and all that. We appreciate your time, Ed. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ed.
We appreciate that. All right, when we come back, we have some impeachment talk to get to, and it has a lot to do with voting on witnesses. The Trump impeachment trial is resuming as we speak. We're going to get to that and why I think at least one Republican, many of them perhaps, but at least one, is an absolute coward for the way he voted yesterday in regards to witnesses. We'll talk about Representative Alexander coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458, 800-481-1458, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
You don't always know you're making history when you're living it. But if you're a business owner, you can help shape Southern Nevada's water future by conserving today. Replacing useless grass with water-smart landscaping and investing in water-saving technology has never been easier. Big rebates are available at snwa.com. Do your part to conserve. Be a founder of our future. SNWA is a not-for-profit water agency.
Family Promise of Las Vegas. Please leave a message.
I've been laid off my job, so we're facing eviction. I have 2 daughters.
I'm calling for emergency shelter for me and my 2.5-year-old son.
I'm a single father with a 14-year-old daughter looking for emergency shelter.
Join with Family Promise of Las Vegas, where our mission is to bring homeless families with children home again, one family at a time. Visit fplv.org and become a friend of our family today.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? What's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents, which leads to millions killed in shelters each year. Turns out, those little cuties can get pregnant sooner than you think. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. When you bring home a pet, get them fixed at 4 months old. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Friday. And yeah, busy news cycle. And in regards to President Trump and what has taken place in the Senate trial, we're talking about witnesses, right? We're talking about votes. Should the witnesses, and I've been very clear on this one, if you want to get down to the truth, if you truly want the truth of what did or didn't take place, then all the evidence needs to put forward, as would be the case in any trial, especially the President of the United States. So before we get to that, I want to say Attorney Alan Dershowitz, as I like to call him. Oh, I'm sorry, is that his name? Dershowitz? No, I'm sorry, Dershowitz. He has now quit. And the reason why he quit is not because people are taking his words out of context. The reason why he quit is because he acted like a buffoon and he said some very ignorant things, and it made him look bad. What a shocker that the guy who represents, pedophiles and murderers is saying ignorant things in regards to this situation. But I want to get to Representative Alexander and his witness vote, because this is the swing vote that people are saying, even though we're now learning Murkowski has now voted no on witnesses, but Romney and Collins voted yes. So it certainly appears as though no witnesses will be called, and the GOP likely has enough votes to block all those witnesses and any other evidence from coming forward. But Alexander's statement shows me the stupidity, the lack of a backbone, and the cowards of some of these people that are voting. I want to read you a statement from Alexander himself. This is a statement he put out yesterday when he made it public that he was voting no on witnesses. Here's part of what he said. You're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. He said, quote, "I worked with other senators to make sure that we have the right to ask for more documents and witnesses, but there's no need for more evidence to prove something that has already been proven." He called the president's actions inappropriate, but he said he didn't believe it reached the stage of impeachment. He also went on to say the question then is not whether the president did it, but whether the United States Senate or the American people should decide what to do, what he did. He believes that the Constitution provides that the people should make that decision in the presidential election that begins in Iowa on Monday. Okay, here's how ridiculous this statement is, folks. Alexander is admitting the president's guilt. Alexander is admitting that the president withheld aid for political gain, and he's saying that's not an impeachable offense. I'm laughing at it because it's so ridiculous. Let me tell you something about this guy, Alexander. He will always be known for being a coward as far as I'm concerned from here on out.
Well,
always be known for...
And he definitely cares about you thinking he's a coward for sure.
Well, this isn't about me.
Well, as far as you're concerned.
It's not about me. I have my opinions, JD, but the guy just admitted that President Trump withheld aid for personal gain, which is breaking the law, period. And the reason why he's saying he doesn't want more witnesses to come forward, the reason why he's saying those things, because it'll make a stronger case for the Democrats. But this guy is getting blasted. Even by some Republicans, he's getting blasted. He basically admits that the president withheld aid for personal gain. And yet he's saying, well, let the people decide in 2020. It's not for us to decide. It is a horrible precedence that he is setting, and many of these other Republicans are saying, because basically you're saying, well, if you're a week into the presidency, for example, you can withhold aid for personal gain, and that's okay. Just wait 3.5 years or wait 4 years till the next election. That's exactly what this man is saying, and it is cowardly. It is wrong. He has no backbone, and he's doing it party over country. And yes, I accuse the Democrats of doing that all the time too, but not in this case, because they want evidence put forward. They want witnesses. They want to get down to the truth. Now, yes, the Democrats believe that the president committed a crime, but all the evidence should be put forward. And this guy, Alexander, should be ashamed of himself. He's a frickin' coward. That's what he is. He's a frickin' coward. No response?
What? To Alexander being a coward?
Yeah, he's a coward.
Trump's going to be acquitted, like we knew was going to happen the entire time. I think that the Democratic Party might be on its last legs after this. Nancy Pelosi has made some very, very questionable comments. In fact, she is saying that Trump cannot be acquitted, and she is considering attempting to disbar the attorneys that represented him successfully simply because they represented him successfully and they did their job.
That would be up for debate that they represented him successfully.
Of course they did. I mean,
really?
Is he getting impeached? Are witnesses being called? No, absolutely not.
Okay,
he's still going to be the president of the United States, and he is going to win by an absolute landslide in 2020. I mean, it's not going to be close.
That's a separate conversation. That's not.
No, it's the same conversation. This has
nothing to do
Brian.
with the elections in 2020.
The entire impeachment process has everything to do with the election.
It is whether the president broke the
law.
law.
No, that's not what it's all about, because the Democrats know they don't have a viable candidate, just like Ed Fallon said, who we just spoke to on the phone. and they are trying to steal this election from the American people by impeaching Donald Trump for something that to me was basic foreign negotiation. Now, there may have been, we'll call it 20%, just as Dershowitz stated, maybe 20% of Donald Trump actually was interested in learning or investigating Biden for his own political gain. But this didn't happen in 2 months from now. This happened 18 months before the election was going to take place. Biden was never guaranteed to be his opponent. He still may not be his opponent. And he had, in my opinion, plenty of reason to look into what happened with Burisma and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden.
Okay, so a couple things you said.
And I think that even if witnesses were called, and I said this a couple days ago, that Hunter Biden would be called as well, and he would destroy himself because he's not a very smart guy and he can't plead the fifth. He would destroy himself on the stand, and that would give.
There's a lot you've said
and
that I need to respond
that
to.
would make the Republicans understand why it was okay for Donald Trump to want to look into Burisma and the Bidens and the involvement. And just because Joe Biden is Donald Trump's political opponent doesn't change the fact that he could have been corrupt. He was involved in politics for 30 years, and his son was getting paid $60,000 a month by a country he was not a citizen of to be on a board of a company that he had absolutely no experience in whatsoever.
There's a lot you just said, and I don't even remember some of the stuff you just said, but I wrote down a few things because you said a lot. First of all, your definition of basic foreign negotiation is ridiculous and troubling to me, and let me explain why.
Troubling? That's troubling to you.
Can I explain? I didn't interrupt you. First of all, when you withhold aid for political personal gain and interference in the elections, that is a crime, period. Make no mistake about it, that is a crime. That is exactly what the president did based on Republicans like Alexander that is admitting that. It sets a horrible precedence moving forward. That's number one. Number two, whether Hunter Biden committed a crime or not, and by the way, there's no evidence to prove that, whether there were shady dealings going on with Burisma, by the way, there's no evidence to prove that, is not why the president was up for a trial here and was impeached. It is whether he broke the law or not. And the fact that Republicans are blocking witnesses from testifying, and the fact that this scumbag, John Bolton, cares more about writing a book and making money than he does about the American people and telling the truth is daunting. It is disgusting. It is despicable. Use any word you want. It's horrendous. This is not basic foreign negotiations to withhold funds for political gain. That's exactly what the president did. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll take your phone calls. What do you think about this? What do you think about Alan Dershowitz leaving the Trump?
Very appropriate, Brian.
Yeah, well,
very appropriate.
You know what?
Awesome.
Trump
very
is
original.
Okay, thank you. Well, we got to take a break now.
Super clever.
All right, thank you. Well, yeah. I'm sure you think Donald Trump is very clever when he goes after women and POWs. We'll take a quick break. We'll take your phone calls on the other side. 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. Your call's coming up next.
Special report Trump impeachment trial. John Bolton is accusing the president of having asked him at a White House meeting to help persuade Ukraine to dig up dirt on Democrats. The New York Times reports the request in Bolton's upcoming book came months before the president brought up the Bidens.
This is significant because it places an event with not only the president's top advisors being involved in the president seeking this pressure campaign on the new Ukrainian leader just shortly after he was elected. The timing of this is early May. But also, of course, it is the first known indication of this before that call that the president had in July, where you could see where he brought up the Bidens.
Trial manager Adam Schiff says allegedly the White House counsel was in the room.
Well, there's a new fact which indicates that Mr. Cipollone was among those who were in the loop. Yet another reason why we ought to hear from witnesses.
Alaska Republican Lisa Murkowski now says she will oppose calling witnesses. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's. Watch for slowing for a traffic hazard reported on the southbound 95 on the west side. This will be just approaching Summerlin Parkway on southbound 95. And on the surface streets, a crash at Martin Luther King Boulevard southbound south of the 95. Injury sustained with a crash sunset east of Las Vegas Boulevard. And on I-15 southbound, almost a complete recovery. Still some light slowing between Charleston and Sahara. Pros do it right by shopping at Lowe's to save on the supplies they need most from the brands they trust to get the job done. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Transform your bathroom in just one day with the experts at Reborn Bath Solutions. Reborn Bath Solutions has been serving Las Vegas for over 3 decades, and right now they're offering 50% off all labor and 1 full year with no interest and no payments. You can't beat that. Make your appointment online today at rebornbathsolutions.com, and they'll give you a $50 Bed Bath & Beyond gift card just for considering them. 50% off labor, 1 full year of no interest and no payments, plus a $50 Bed Bath & Beyond gift card. What are you waiting for? Reborn Bath Solutions. They bring the showroom to you with free in-home appointments at your convenience. Visit rebornbathsolutions.com today. That's rebornbathsolutions.com. Take advantage of this amazing offer. 50% off all labor, 1 full year of no interest and no payments, plus a $50 Bed Bath & Beyond gift card. Reborn Bath Solutions, where it's done right and done in a day.
My name is Dale Pazinski, and this is how I live United. I volunteer with United Way, helping the homeless in my community by teaching computer skills and helping them build a basic resume to save on their very own USB drive. It's huge when somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, so glad you could join us talking about the latest with this impeachment trial, Senate trial, I should say. And you're watching it right now on CNN or Fox News. It's going on right now. It appears as though the GOP likely has enough votes to block witnesses, which I think is utterly ridiculous. It's getting some blowback from Democrats, including Chuck Schumer. Here's what he had to say earlier this morning in regards to our democracy. Have a listen to this.
This country is headed towards the greatest cover-up since Watergate. If my Republican colleagues refuse to even consider witnesses and documents in the trial, what will the president conclude? We all know he'll conclude he can do it again, and Congress can do nothing about it. He can try to cheat in his election again, something that eats at the roots of our democracy.
Monica Lewinsky has also weighed in on this situation. If you recall, she was forced to testify after having oral sex with the president of the United States at the time. She said, quote, "Gee, too bad I had to give that videoed witness testimony for the Senate trial in the Clinton impeachment." Guess what? She's absolutely right. I don't think that was too much fun for her. It certainly didn't paint her in a good light, talking about her sexual escapades with the president, knowing that he was married in the Oval Office. Why is it that she testified, but yet nobody is required to testify? No witnesses in this case. We're taking your phone calls at 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. Why don't we start off with Mike? Mike, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What do you think of all this?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
What's up? Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, check this out. I want to say something about the bone spur president that we have, the one that fake bones, the one that doesn't know which foot he had a bone spur in. Such a patriot. And I like to say this, JD, I wish I could make a wager with you, but Donald, the bone spur president, he lost by 3 million votes to Hillary.
Let's go to
And
California.
the only reason why he won,
And New York.
The only reason why he won is because of the Electoral College.
Right.
I guarantee you, he will get smashed this time because you know what? People have had enough of this crap. This guy, even your GOP senators, the ones that reason why they're not going to impeach him or take him out of office because he is impeached for life. But he's not going to get taken out of office because they feel like you know what, they don't care. Basically,
Yeah.
If they're going to go down to history. History's gonna.
Mike, who are you supporting? Mike, who are you supporting?
All right, so what's our?
Hold on. Who are you supporting on the Democratic side, Mike?
I'll tell you what. Even though Joe Biden, I love Joe Biden. He's old. Look, he has his moments, but he's a leader.
Yeah.
He's honest, and he's honest.
JD, what do you say to that? Let JD respond, Mike. Go ahead, JD.
You think Joe Biden is a leader?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a leader.
You think the way he treated Ed Fallon is that of the way a leader treats someone?
Do you? Yes, indeed. Do you think Donald Trump is a leader? The guy that calls women names, and he calls John McCain not a. Come on, JD, are you serious?
I think Donald Trump is a leader for different reasons. The things that you just described, obviously, those aren't qualities that leaders have, but he does lead when it comes to
take your side on this.
Getting things done, compromises with the economy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very good businessman, in my opinion. Joe Biden has zero experience whatsoever in that particular field.
Okay. By the way, the number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation is 702-257-5396. Usually I do agree with Mike, but with this specific phone call, when you do bring up that instance with Joe Biden, that is certainly an instance where Biden did not show leadership qualities, and I just don't think his personality is the right guy to beat Donald Trump. But anyway, we'll see what you guys think.
I'm surprised that you support him, Mike. I thought you might like someone like an Andrew Yang or maybe a Bernie Sanders. Because you call in a lot.
I've been very open with my support in Pete Buttigieg. I don't think he has a chance to win, but if there's anybody on that stage that I would vote for, it'd be him, because it's about respect, and I think he respects others. He's extremely articulate and intelligent, and I think he would destroy Donald Trump on a stage. 257-5396. Let's go to Joe. Joe, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Joe?
Yes, doing good. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
JD, you had mentioned just a couple of minutes ago about the prospect of corruption with Burisma and Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
So my question to you would be, if in fact Donald Trump believed that there was some funny business going on, why didn't he initiate an investigation with either the FBI or the CIA?
The DOJ, yeah.
Why didn't the Senate, controlled by the GOP, open an investigation like they did against Hillary for months and months and months on Benghazi? They were totally silent on all of this. And so Trump has to go to a foreign country?
It's a very valid question.
Trump uses his personal attorney to actually go to a foreign country because clearly he doesn't trust the
Which
DOJ.
makes it even worse.
It does make it worse.
But that's why he did it.
But explain to me why he didn't go to the FBI and the CIA first.
Because he doesn't trust the FBI and the CIA.
But he does now. He didn't
now that James Comey's not a part of it, absolutely he does.
Oh, please.
I got to say, Joe, I think
Come on, JD, you can't say that with a straight face.
Sure I can.
Then to be quite honest, you're an idiot, period.
Oh, JD, you going to let him talk to you like that?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Joe.
Joe, I appreciate the call. Joe's sounding like me today. I've never called you an idiot, by the way. I've never said that.
Joe sounds like a desperate Democrat who knows that Donald Trump is about to trample his party. And I believe that the Democratic Party literally might be on its last legs. Socialism could be the second party in 2024.
Sorry, JD, people have called me a lot of names on this show. It happens on a regular basis. I think that's the first time somebody called you a name.
That is the absolute first time, and I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Now I see why.
Thank you for the call, Joe.
Now I see why every single time a caller calls me a name, you have a little smirk on your face and you say "good call" because I felt a little warm and fuzzy inside. Yeah, I did actually. 702.
That's a really good sign, I think.
702-257-5396. I got to give that guy credit. He hammered you on that, and I agree. Trump should have gone to the DOJ. He didn't. We're talking about the impeachment process. We're talking about the Senate trial, and it appears as though the GOP, the debate ahead of votes, it does on witnesses. It looks like witnesses aren't going to be called forward. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Brady?
Yeah, good morning, JD and Half Crusty. How you guys today?
Did you just call me Half Crusty?
I like it.
Well, that's don't quit your day job, whatever the hell that is, because you're not.
Whatever. Anyways,
in sales.
You know, the funny thing is, Brian, you always want to keep saying that Donald Trump looking into Hunter Biden has nothing to do with anything. Well, it really does, because you fail to mention, just like most of the media did yesterday, that Victor Shokin, do you know who he is?
Yes, I do know, but why don't we talk about the actual Senate trial and stay on topic instead of your right-wing stupid talking points?
Shokin filed charges against crusty Joe Biden.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that, but that has nothing to do with this actual impeachment trial, so please stick on subject. Please stick. Those are different. That is a different case. I'm talking about the impeachment trial that is going on right now, the Senate trial. That's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about other cases. We're talking about what are the... Excuse me. We're talking about what are the... Excuse me, crusty idiot. Excuse me. Take your... I'll tell you what. Take your Donald Trump knee pads off, and then when you take those off, then you could put on the Mike Pence knee pads, okay? Okay, how about that, crusty? 702-257-5396. That's what I'm going to call Brady from now on, the right-wing crusty idiot. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Lenny. Lenny, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hey, what's up,
Good
Lenny?
morning. I just wanted to say, impeachment is a pleasure to hear of lately, since it's a good distraction from Kobe Bryant's death. Oh my God!
What do you mean?
Can't get enough of that one, huh?
What do you mean?
You
Can't
guys
get?
have a great morning.
No. Don't hang up, coward. Don't hang up the phone. No, you stay on the phone right now. Excuse me, sir. Kobe Bryant is a hero, a legend, a father, a husband.
Oh,
this
my
is.
God.
Excuse me. What are you? Are you racist? Are you going to your
Not
clan?
at all.
Oh, really? Not at all. So explain to me then why you don't think it's fair to cover the Kobe Bryant tragedy and death, which is arguably
Not on every single channel around the globe.
You know why it's on every channel on the globe? Because you know why it's on every channel on the globe? Because 99.9% of people don't think like a moron like you. That's why. He was a hero, a legend.
Listen to this one.
Oh, no, I don't want to listen to this one. I'm going to hang up on you because you're a moron. You don't think we should be covering the Kobe Bryant crash that took place on Sunday and honoring his memory and the 8 others that lost their lives on that crash? You are a moron. Good luck at your clan meeting tonight. The Grand Wizard just called in. 702-257-5396.
Not a great call, Lenny.
Oh, my God. What an idiot. What a jackass. Let's go to Nate. Nate, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Nate?
I'm sorry to do this to you, especially on Thanksgiving, and also because you were looking forward to Sunday. But I feel it.
All right, let's get rid of this guy. I can't even understand a word he's saying. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Chris. Chris, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, man?
Hey, Chris.
What's up, Chris? Go ahead. Good. What's up?
So, Brian, just got a question for you, man.
Sure.
So, you say Trump should go to the DOJ.
Absolutely.
Multiple times, I listen to you guys every day. You call it the injustice system, so I just wanted a little clarification on that.
Well, when I say the word injustice system, it is my personal opinion and belief that our justice system has a lot of problems that need to be fixed. With that being said, you have a responsibility when you're the president of the United States to call the DOJ, and if you really truly think there's corruption with one of your political opponents, then you don't go through the avenue of one of your personal attorneys and say, hey, go dig up dirt on this guy and go to the Ukraine. You go through the appropriate avenues. For example, if you have a vigilante situation and you see one of your neighbor's house being robbed, you would probably call 911, right? You wouldn't call one of your guys to go into a house with a gun and kill somebody. If you saw somebody shoplifting in a store or you owned a store, you wouldn't call one of your buddies or one of your personal friends to go into that store and kick that person's ass. You would call the police. Even if you're not a fan of the police, you're still most likely going to call the police if you feel you are in danger. It is the same analogy I go to the President of the United States. Just because he doesn't have total faith in the DOJ, unless it benefits him, by the way, doesn't necessarily mean, and it shouldn't mean, that you hire one of your personal attorneys, the scumbag and the disgrace that is Rudy Giuliani, to go to another country. Does that not make any sense?
Oh, the scumbag and disgrace for Rudy Giuliani,
Yes,
Brian?
he's a disgrace.
Come on.
Go ahead, Chris.
He was arguably one of the most successful mayors in the history of the United States.
Not anymore.
Brian.
Not anymore.
He did beautiful things
Not anymore.
for New York, and that's how
All right.
him and Donald Trump have a relationship.
Not anymore.
He also happens to be a Republican.
Chris, go ahead.
I respect your guys' opinion. You know, you got some good points there, Brian. I'll give it to you.
I appreciate that. Listen, Chris, it's a fair question. Don't get me wrong. It's a fair question that you asked, but it's like the analogy I give. If you're not a fan of law enforcement or police, you're still going to call them. If you see a crime being committed, most likely, you're not going to call one of your buddies to, it's the same thing with Trump. That's exactly what he did. But here's the difference. It's not you and me, Chris. It's the President of the United States who behaved this way. All right, Chris, I appreciate it.
I'm not doubting that. I know that did happen. That is a fact.
Yep.
As a young, you can consider me a millennial. I'm still in my 20s. But
Yep.
just the things that I've seen, in my brief time on this planet, I really have never seen such a hatred towards this president before. Now, I'm not justifying what he did. I do agree that, Giuliani should have probably not been sent.
Well, let me ask you a question, Chris. Let me explain to you why I have hatred towards the president, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree. In my personal opinion, any man that goes after a POW and says, I don't respect John McCain because he was captured, any man that goes after a woman based on her looks, if you recall when he was up against Ted Cruz, and he put up a picture of Melania and then Ted Cruz's wife, any man that says grab him by the P word and talks like that, that's not locker room talk. Any man that dodges the hold on, let me just finish. Let me finish, and then I'll give you my question to you. Any man that dodges the military because of bone spurs and then attacks our men and women in uniform, and yes, he has done that, to me is an awful human being. I have a hatred towards people that go after our heroes in this country. He's had a silver spoon and a golden toilet his entire life. I have zero respect for him. I think he's a horrible person, and that's why I have such disdain towards the man, Chris.
Right, I agree. Going after John McCain was totally out of line. You know, you shouldn't question someone's.
That being said, John McCain did go after him first.
That's a ridiculous defense.
But it's fact.
He went after policy.
I will say I have a much bigger issue with going after Ted Cruz's wife because Ted Cruz's wife didn't go after him first. But in the case of John McCain was actively involved in some investigations. The dossier had a lot to do with John McCain.
To defend it is just
I'm not defending. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying it was in response to being attacked first,
Okay.
just like John Dingell. Trump obviously responds to anyone who attacks him first, and so do you, Brian. You do the exact same thing Trump does on a consistent basis.
Okay, first of all, that is 100% inaccurate.
That is 100%
Here's why. Okay,
factual.
can I defend myself now? Can I defend myself now?
Anybody
When you
who
say a ridiculous
anybody
thing
who
like
calls
that, can I
into the
defend
show
myself?
and says
Excuse
something
me.
about you,
Excuse
you
me.
respond negatively
Excuse
against
me.
every
All right.
single time.
Okay, now I'm
just like Trump does.
Okay, let me know when I can talk. Now I'm going to defend myself because what you just said is completely over the top and ridiculous. Never in my life, regardless of what people have said about me, have I ever gone after a man or woman in uniform and gone after them based on their service. Never in my life. Never have I gone after an innocent woman and gone on social media and gone after her looks. Never in my life have I ever said, grab them by the P word. I have never done those things in my life. And guess what, JD? I never will. If somebody calls into the show and me being a radio show host and not the president of the United States calls in and says something racist or says something ignorant, calling them a moron or an idiot and going after one's service as a POW for 5 years is a ridiculous comparison, and I object to it. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Mark. Mark, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
What's up, Mark?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is that Trump didn't lose by 3 million votes. If you count the independents and other party votes that never went his way, he lost by over 10 million votes in 2016. This idea of the Republican Party trouncing the Democrats in 2020 ignores what happened just last year in the off-term or midterm elections where there was a blue wave. So let's keep in mind that this bravado by your co-host there is nothing but empty rhetoric at this point.
Hold on, Mark. Mark, hold on.
Hold on, I'm not done. In Clark County, currently, the Democrats hold 144,000 vote lead for registrations in Clark County and then in the entire state.
Yeah.
We went blue. We've got positive things accomplished for the state. And this idea that government is a problem needs to be trashed along with Reagan's legacy. Why? Because your trash gets picked up, your water gets delivered, and it's clean. All of these things happen because of government. The roads you drive on, their condition is directly related to whether we have sane politicians or people on the right who do nothing but destroy everything they touch.
Let me just
And
speak
I'm
in.
not interested
Mark.
in JD's response because it'll be nonsense.
Well, I mean, I think you should still, Mark, listen, I agree with most of what you said, but I think you should still at least listen to JD and hear him out. JD, go ahead.
Yeah, say something reasonable.
Say something reasonable. You don't think that Donald Trump is going to trounce Joe Biden in 2020, who was probably going to be the Democratic candidate at this point? Who do you think that has a legitimate chance of becoming a Democratic primary candidate against Joe Biden can actually beat Donald Trump, and why?
Any one of them, because right now on our side, it's not desperation. What you have is just exactly what your co-host said. It's anger over the incompetence, the stupidity, the venality, the narcissism, the misogyny, and on and on and on, and the psychotic behavior by this president.
Mark,
anybody who supports him.
Yeah, Mark, I understand. Mark, I understand with what you're saying. I think we agree on a lot of things, but here's where we disagree. And again, I'm coming from a middle ground guy, even though I trash Trump on a regular basis. I do not personally believe that an Amy Klobuchar would have any chance to defeat Donald Trump. I do not personally believe that Elizabeth Warren would have any chance to defeat Donald Trump. You have to understand, Mark, not everybody thinks like you. Now, you're right. The overwhelming majority of Americans, you're right, did vote for Hillary Clinton. And I do make that point on a regular basis. You know that, Mark. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that one of these candidates is going to overwhelmingly defeat Donald Trump. I just don't see it that way, Mark. And I'm not a big Joe Biden guy, but I actually do believe that Joe Biden would probably have the best chance to defeat Donald Trump because he would have a good chance in the battleground states. Now, you mentioned some other names in there, and listen, I'm a Pete Buttigieg supporter, but and he's the one guy I can tell you right now I would 100% vote for. But even I would say I'm not sure Pete Buttigieg would defeat Donald Trump. So while a lot of people do think like you, Mark, that are Democrats, there are also a lot of middle ground people that even though they think Donald Trump is a bad guy and the rhetoric and everything else, they would still vote for him over some of these other Democrats. You have to at least admit that, Mark, right?
I think the majority of the country cares more about what Donald Trump does
cares
as opposed to what he says.
He can think whatever he wants about the majority of the voters, but of course he's wrong because the polls show that he's wrong on that. Now, I know facts are not a strong suit for people on the right, but when it comes down to it, in November, you're going to have two choices. And if you think Trump is somebody that if you would withhold a vote, you're voting for Trump. So you're going to have two choices. And so if you don't vote for the person running against Trump and he gets back in, just remember that.
All right, Mark, listen.
When the
listen.
destruction of the country
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, Mark. I think this is where we disagree. I was one of those people, and by the way, I was the majority, that thought Hillary Clinton was going to win by a landslide. By the way, for the record, I do care what you have to say, JD.
I really appreciate that, Brian.
I'm taking your side on that phone call. But with that being said, okay, the problem I have with Mark are two things. You don't want to listen to people on the other side. I will listen to people on the other side so long as they don't say something
stupid. The problem with Mark
stupid.
is that he believes that everything that he thinks is what everybody else is thinking.
Which is not the case.
He's doing the same thing that Don Lemon did 2 nights ago when he totally insulted anyone who supports Trump as uneducated.
But if I could
plain stupid.
But if I could just finish,
and that mindset is just not going to be effective.
I agree.
And that's the classic liberal mindset where you think that everything you do is correct. And anyone who doesn't think that what you do is right is totally wrong. And the country does not think that way. The majority of the country does not think that way. And the majority of the country, they care more about what Donald Trump has done for them than what he does and than what he says and what his rhetoric is. And people like Mark are one of the main reasons why you've got a lot of Trump supporters that are at work that are afraid to say they're Trump supporters, but behind the scenes, they're tapping their friend on the shoulder and saying, "Hey,
I don't mind listening.
There's a lot of people who are not outspoken about Trump because they don't want people like Mark, attacking them because there's nothing better to do.
Well,
but
listen,
when it comes to 2020, the poll time, Donald Trump is going to destroy the competition because of people like you, Mark. So congratulations for helping get Donald Trump elected again.
Well, that's not a guarantee. 257-5396 is the number to call. Why don't we go to Don? Don, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Don?
Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, I just want to respond to the CNN guy there. Hey, he looks like he rehearsed himself real well. The thing is he's doing what people unfortunately are doing. He's identifying us as stupid, incompetent. And
I can only go by what people say, Don. I would never call a general Trump supporter stupid, but if somebody says something stupid, that's when I call them out.
And I agree with that completely. And the thing is people get themselves in such a obviously he was pretty calm when he was talking, so he obviously believes what he says. But the thing is it's going to come out. It's going to come out next year, and everybody feels it. That Trump, there's no way to beat Trump. If the economy takes a tank, then we're going to have a problem. The second comment is people are really reactive to different things. Like you're talking earlier about Kobe's his pilot.
Yeah.
And we're real quick as a country to react and to point fingers.
Well, hold on a second. But Don, hold on a second. For 4 days, I haven't gone after this pilot in any way, shape, or form.
I got you.
The news that came out today, and I was biting my tongue, the news that came out today about Kobe, and then we got to move on to some more callers, is that the helicopter was not fit to fly in those conditions, and neither was the pilot. What more evidence do you want to show that this pilot killed 8 people, including himself 9? I don't think that's rushing to judgment. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Tony. Tony, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Now, what's
up, Tony?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, Tony?
Oh, cool. So Kobe was murdered.
think it was the other guy. I thought they were the same guy. I lost my vision 7 years ago. But who's the other guy that bought the school in Cleveland? I thought he's the one that died in the helicopter.
No, you're talking about LeBron James. LeBron is doing just fine.
I think LeBron James had Kobe killed, or if Kobe was like,
all right, let's say goodbye to Tony because Tony is somebody I would call an idiot on the show. 257-5396. Let's go to David. David, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, David?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, David, what's up?
Hey, first of all, JD, you're awesome. You're calm, cool, collective. I like you. Brian, you're a little bit obnoxious, but you had that word.
So can I ask you a question, David? Can I ask you a question, David? Would you call Donald Trump obnoxious, or would you call Donald Trump calm?
I would call Donald Trump, I'd call him an idiot.
Okay,
But-
so the difference is, hold on, the difference is he's the president of the United States and I'm a radio talk show host. Just to be clear. Okay, just to be clear.
but you get so angry.
No,
and that's the
no, it's
thing
called
all it
passion.
does-
David, it's called passion, okay? I have passion, and I'll never say something on the air like many right-wing talk show hosts do. I'm not talking about JD. I'm not saying the things you want to hear. Anything I talk about on the radio, I am passionate about. It could be a Kobe Bryant helicopter crash, or it could be the Orange Man.
Yeah, and I need to clear something up. I'm not a Donald Trump apologist. I don't think he's perfect, but I don't think that he should have been impeached for this. And these last two
I agree.
callers that have attacked me,
I agree.
clearly they were expecting Donald Trump not to only be impeached, but also removed from office. And now that's not taking place,
Well, get used to it.
that is eliciting the reaction. So I
Yeah.
expect more of this.
Get used
and
to
bring
it.
it on, baby.
You have two callers. I get about 50 callers a day, so get used to it. Go ahead, David. Go ahead.
Hey, it's just like that one guy, Mike, who said he was lived here and all, and everything like the liberals. He should move to San Francisco and see what it's like living there in that dump.
Well,
even New York City, that's a dump.
Well, yeah, you can live in San Francisco if you've got $1.5 million to buy a house.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, it costs a lot of money to live well in Manhattan or to live well in San Francisco. I think there are parts of both cities that are very nice, and there are parts of Las Vegas, particularly North Las Vegas, that are dumps. So I think you could find a dump anywhere. We're going to take a quick break, and I'll tell you what, we'll take more of your phone calls on the other side. Chuck, JD, Paul, John, Mike, Mark, we'll get to all your calls coming up next. You are listening to The Vegas Take.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-244-6060. That's 800-244-6060. 800-244-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
The only FM news talk station in the Valley. 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Special report Trump impeachment trial. Another release from the upcoming John Bolton book is out the same day that Republicans hope that they could wind down the president's impeachment trial with a vote to acquit. The latest release is reported by the New York Times. Correspondent Caitlin Collins is at the White House.
They say in early May there was a meeting in the Oval Office with President Trump, Rudy Giuliani, Mick Mulvaney, the chief of staff, and Pat Cipollone, the White House counsel who is now leading the president's defense on the Senate floor, where President Trump instructed John Bolton, then, of course, at the time, the national security advisor, to connect Rudy Giuliani with the new president.
Times reporter Maggie Haberman.
If Bolton's account is true, it would be the earliest that we know of that the president was involved in instructing people in relation to this pressure campaign with Ukraine for investigations that he wanted.
Lisa Murkowski says she is a no on calling trial witnesses. I'm Mike Moss. Two suspects have been taken into custody after they tried to get away from police after driving through two checkpoints near the president's Florida residence. Correspondent Kristen Holmes reports police fired shots before taking the men into custody.
The big question here, of course, is whether or not that vehicle was headed towards Mar-a-Lago intentionally. Were they on a chase for any reason? Why exactly were they following this car in the first place? And why was it heading towards Mar-a-Lago?
No other word from officials yet about who was involved and what the motive might have been. China's ambassador in Geneva says the World Health Organization's decision to declare a virus outbreak a global emergency was warranted, but cautions against unnecessary panic or excessive measures in response. The virus has now claimed more than 200 lives and infected 10,000. Americans just back from China will be quarantined for 2 weeks as a precaution. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 516. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Watch for slowing for a crash reported on Lamb Boulevard north of Bonanza. Injury sustained, police and fire with the scene. We're looking good on I-15 right now with no delays on the resort corridor and delay-free between the Spaghetti Bowl and the Southern Beltway. No slowing on 95. East side, west side inbound is also delay-free. Home is more than a house. It's the feeling of open roads, blue skies. Rocket Mortgage has helped millions of Americans finance the homes of their dreams, and they can help you too. Rocket Mortgage, push button, get mortgage. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
From 1878 to 1921, it was America's money. Morgan silver dollars. Everyone carried them, from the famous to the infamous. Teddy Roosevelt, Jesse James. Now, only a fraction survive. And what coins collectors do find, they hoard. But thanks to government.com, you can now own one of these historic U.S. silver dollar masterpieces in collector-worthy condition at a sensational price. A limited number of 1921 Morgan silver dollars have been released to the public. The actual, real, solid U.S. silver dollars. And one can be yours by calling government now at 1-800-222-3967. To secure your last year of issue 1921 Morgan silver dollar at an exceptional government price, call 1-800-222-3967. Call now and we'll give you a free coin catalog just for calling. Call now to secure your silver coins. Plus, get your free catalog just for calling. 1-800-222-3967. That's 1-800-222-3967.
This is Lorraine Hunt Bono, inviting you to tune in for Breaking Bread with Bono. Join my husband, Dennis Bono, as celebrities share with him their intimate and humorous stories. Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m., right here on KDON.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro, talking about this trial in the Senate. It appears, and I say appears because it's not 100% yet, but it appears as though witnesses will not be called, which is a very good thing for Republicans, a bad thing for Democrats. Obviously, it's a good thing for Donald Trump. And we're taking your phone calls at 702-257-5396. By the way, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk Super Bowl, some of the exotic prop bets you can make, like the average weight of Donald Trump compared to rushing yards as a player on the football field. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You can make bets like that. We're going to talk about it coming up here in just a little bit. Nick Bogdanovich is from William Hill. We'll be talking a little bit about that. But obviously, we are talking about what is taking place in the Senate. the trial involving Donald Trump. My personal opinion hasn't changed on it, whether the president's guilty or not. We need witnesses. We need all the evidence possible. So not just the Senate, the people in the Senate could make a decision, but so that Americans can find out the truth. Now, if that exonerates the president, so be it. But we all know what John Bolton is going to do. We all know. We all know what John Bolton's going to do. He's going to get up there and he's going to say there was a quid pro quo. That's what he's saying in his book. All he cares about is money, by the way, and this is a guy for years, for decades, that Republicans just loved. Now what do you think about your boy John Bolton, huh? Now what do you think about him? 702-257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck, you're first up here this segment on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Chuck?
Yeah, the guy with the mental disorder called a couple calls ago. Anyway, he was the landslide. Have you seen the county map, right? The one that Kid Rock wears?
Yes.
The USA, all the red?
Yes.
Well, Trump won 2,800 plus counties, and Hillary won 487.
I think there's a lot of reasons for that, Chuck, and that is a valid point. But I think
population density.
I think the main reason why Hillary Clinton lost the election, besides the fact I don't think she was a great candidate, is the fact she didn't campaign well. She didn't go to those battleground states, and she deserved to lose, quite frankly.
And it's very, very commonplace because 80 million people reside between California and New York. That if you win those two states, and that's 25% of the United States population, you're going to win the popular vote. So it doesn't really reflect exactly what the country is thinking. It just reflects what the coasts are thinking.
But Chuck, I want to ask you about this Senate trial because it is my personal opinion, and that's where we're taking calls on. What do you think about the Republicans trying to block witnesses? I believe the Americans need to know the truth, and I believe both sides deserve to know the truth. And I don't think the president is above the law.
Well, have them all hauled in there. Have Zelensky go in there too.
I agree. I don't have a problem with that.
But nobody even mentions that. And he was the only one involved, right?
Well, no, of course not. There's a lot of people that were involved. Allegedly, John Bolton was involved. Mulvaney, Giuliani,
Jovanovic.
Well, here's the problem with that argument, though, Chuck. While he was the only other person on the phone call that was actually talking, you also have to keep in mind. Here's the best analogy I can give you. Let's just say there's a bully in school. You can't stand this guy, right? He's a bully, and you see him do something awful in the classroom, and then the teacher looks at you and says, "Who did it?" Now, you're not going to narc on the bully. Maybe the bully protects you. Maybe, whatever the case may be. I truly believe that's the best analogy I can give with Zelensky. He got all this aid from the president of the United States. He probably understands that this is probably going to be the president through 2024. He's not going to try to say something to make the president look bad. So it's not like we can just take Zelensky's word for it. Do you understand?
Well, you don't think he would tell the truth either?
I'm not saying that he would blatantly lie, but I'm also saying he wouldn't say things. Of course there was pressure put on him.
Why wouldn't that same logic apply to John Bolton for why he would say something about Donald Trump, considering that they had a falling out?
Well,
he's trying to profit from this. He's trying to get attention from it, clearly by releasing this book.
For a lot of different reasons.
Why would that logic not apply?
For a lot of different reasons. First of all, John Bolton is a lifelong Republican. That's number one.
People can't change their minds.
Number two, committing perjury is a crime. I'm not sure if John Bolton was to testify, he would lie under oath. I don't see that happening, JD. Chuck, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Bolton is shifts. Raytheon gave him all kinds of money. The reason they're mad at him is he's not starting no wars, and Bolton would have started it in a heartbeat.
Well, that's a valid point, Chuck. What I really don't like about John Bolton is, and to an extent I agree with JD in this circumstance, is that Bolton could be speaking to the media now. He could be holding a press conference, and he could be telling the truth. Because I think Americans deserve to know the truth. He has chosen not to do that, and he has chosen to profit off of the information he has. You want to talk about un-American, that's exactly what John Bolton has done. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, man.
I don't think I believe the whole process is tainted from one side to the other. I don't think there's a possibility of getting the truth because everything the Democrats did to get through the impeachment was dirty, and possibly what the president did was dirty. And it's just, I think it's what it is now is the Republicans are trying to do to the Democrats what the Democrats did to the Republicans. All these FISA warrants and things like that were acquired, basically it was fraudulent. They told lies, they changed things, and that's all documented. I mean, that's something that's documented. It can be proven.
Mm-hmm.
And this Bolton guy, he's just out to make some money. His loyalty is at the bank.
Right, which is sad, by the way.
He
which actually is American in the fact that it's capitalism, but it's not very democratic.
I think his book should not be published. Whoever the publisher is.
Well, he's a disgrace. He should be. Well, I'm not going to blame the publisher. I'm going to blame the messenger, and that is John Bolton. Look, publishers are out for one thing and one thing only: to try to make profit. It's a business. John Bolton has served this country, and he is a lifelong Republican who has loved by people on the right. I wonder if these people still love Bolton. You remember when Trump said, "I only hire the best people"? Some of the people he hired are in jail, have committed felonies. How does he feel about John Bolton? How many people has Donald Trump hired in his administration that have turned out to be absolute weasels and scumbags?
That's a politician for you. It doesn't matter.
Well, he said he was going to drain the swamp. I didn't say it.
No, I agree. I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I've not been like one of those. I'm not a Donald Trump apologist, and I don't wake up and pray to his picture or anything like that.
Some do. Some do.
I agree, but the way I actually began supporting Donald Trump is before he became president. In my opinion, he was a rich douchebag who bought wives because they were models.
Yeah.
And I thought he had no business even running for mayor, much less president.
Right.
But I got so sick of all of the jokes. The butt of every joke was Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I got so sick of hearing it from these corny, lame, late-night comedians. Their shows suck anyway. And all they're doing
some of them don't suck. Some of them don't suck.
Let's agree to disagree. But
Okay.
all they're doing is kissing the most famous person's butt so they can get people to watch them so they can make money. And I finally started looking into some of the things that President Trump has done.
But hold on 1 second, Bob. Couldn't you make the same case about Fox News? To be fair.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I'm not saying any of them.
All right.
No, but Fox News doesn't kiss celebrities' butts.
We're talking about the president.
News program, I'd watch that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is none. And
well, hold on a second. Let me pull back a little bit. Listen, I watch Fox News and CNN equal amount of time. I try not to watch any of the shows after 5 p.m. on both networks. You know why? Because it's biased. But what I do is I watch the news during the day, and I do appreciate some people on Fox News like Wallace. I used to like Shepard Smith. Some people could say negative things about Jake Tapra and Wolf Blitzer. I think they're fair. I think they're more fair than the late night shows. So while I understand where you're coming from, Paul, and you're right, there is bias on both sides, and I do appreciate your honesty. But with that being said, I think let's be fair here. Fox News does the exact same thing. They kiss the ass of the president of the United States. I've never heard Laura Ingraham say one negative thing about the president, the evil racist witch that is Laura Ingraham. The number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. Let's go to JD. JD, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
What's up, JD?
Hi, JD. I don't know why, Brian, you constantly overtalk and interrupt your co-host, JD. He is very fair with his commentary. He doesn't overtalk. You control the show. You control the callers. You try to control him, and it makes for very poor radio.
Okay, so first of all, so now I'm going to talk over you, and now you're going to listen to me. First of all, you don't tell me how to do a radio show. Number two, you're the guy that begged us to fill in. You're the guy excuse me, pot him down. Pod this idiot down. You're not going to tell me and give me advice on how to do radio. How is your radio career going? I've been in the business for 20 years. Go ahead and tell us about your amazing radio career. Go ahead, JD. You want to criticize my skills on the radio? Go ahead. Let's hear about your wonderful radio career. Has a company ever paid you to be on the radio in your life? What are you, 75 years old?
I don't think he was criticizing your skills.
I know exactly what he's doing.
Clearly, you're very, very talented. He's just saying
I know
that
exactly what he's doing.
Sometimes when I talk, you don't let me finish my statements, which is true.
You do the same thing to me on
some
occasions.
But
But this is the same guy who begged us to fill in.
And that's fair, but I wouldn't say that he is insulting your skills.
Oh, really? I saw a note in the studio when I arrived a couple months ago asking us to fill in. Guess what, JD? Let me give you, since we do run the show, that will never happen because you have no idea how to do radio and you are a talentless buffoon. What do you think about that?
Well, that's why 6 radio hosts have asked me to fill in for them.
Oh, really? Who? Tell us. Tell us who. And you being paid for it? What station and what host?
On your station, John Shapiro, when John...
have you ever been paid to do radio in your life?
I have never asked to be paid.
What a shocker. Well, let me give you a piece of advice. You've never been a professional in this business. You don't tell me how to do radio. And guess what? If you don't like what we're doing, then don't call in and don't listen.
I'm not telling you how to do your show.
Oh, really? You're not? Oh, you're not, huh?
No, he's not. He's
Oh.
not telling you what to discuss.
Okay, well, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in your opinions. Guess what, JD?
He's your boss.
JD, let me tell you something. How I feel about your opinion. I feel about the same way about my last bathroom visit. Okay, hang up on him then. Good. Goodbye. Your opinion means about as much to me as my last bathroom visit.
Hey, JD, that was a really, really good call from one JD to another, and I appreciate the compliment.
This guy, by the way, he calls into our show on occasion. I guess he filled in a few times, so he thinks he's an expert when it comes to radio. I am no messiah when it comes to radio, but let me tell you something. I know a little bit more about the business than this schlob does.
I do appreciate his political knowledge, though. He's very knowledgeable.
Yeah, he was very knowledgeable in that phone call. Don't interrupt your co-host.
Next time when you call in, stick to the politics, because Brian will obviously do what Brian does if you do not.
Well, you know, if you wanted to talk about Trump, that would have been fine. If you wanted to talk about the impeachment trial or, you know, the Senate trial, that would have been fine. Don't interrupt, blah, blah, blah. It's really bad radio. Guess what, JD? It's bad radio every single time you call in. That's why I should stop taking your stupid calls. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Steve. Steve, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
What's up, Steve?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What's up, man? I hope you want to talk about the impeachment trial.
I'm just curious. Why is it that Democrats, anytime they're wrong, they seem to resort to insulting people?
What specific situation are you talking about?
Well, you in particular.
Number one, I'm not a Democrat. Number one, okay, well, hold on, Steve. Hold on, Steve. Steve, listen for a second. I'm not a Democrat. So just because I don't like Donald Trump doesn't mean I'm a liberal or a Democrat. So you started off this conversation by saying something that's factually inaccurate. Here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You started off a conversation by making an assumption about me. And instead of me letting you go on for 2 or 3 minutes, I interrupted you. And the reason why I interrupted you, because you're saying something that's not true about me. You have no idea what my voting record is. You clearly don't know my opinion on Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton. But hold on. But because I don't like Donald Trump, you're assuming I'm a Democrat. I don't like people that make gross assumptions. I don't like people that are factually inaccurate. I don't like people that are racist. There's a lot of things that...
I did not bring up your name when I first called. I said Democrat.
Okay, and I asked you, and that is why, Steve, hold on, Steve, pot him down for a second. Steve, I'm going to keep you on the line, but with all due respect, that is why I asked you the question, what specifically are you talking about? Okay, follow me here, Steve. It's not too difficult. There was a reason why I asked you that, because I wanted to try to get you to say me, and that's exactly what you said. People like you. So you're not going to call into this show and lie. So what have we learned about Steve in the last 2 minutes? He makes gross assumptions and he lies. Go ahead, Steve. I'll pod you back up.
What have I lied about?
You just said you weren't talking about me. And then literally 2 minutes ago, you called into the show and talked about Democrats. And then I said, be specific.
I said Democrats.
And then I said, be specific, and you talked about me.
Democrats always have to insult.
And then I said, be specific. And then are you not listening? And then I said, be specific, and you said me specifically. Do you not remember this happened 2 minutes ago?
Yeah, I remember that. That was my second.
So there you go. So there you go.
You know what? I mean, it's the first time listening to your show. Excuse me for not knowing that you're not.
Okay, that's all you had to say. That's all you had to say.
But you know what? Based on listening just today, I can see why you would think Donald Trump.
Why do you hate Trump so
Good question, Steve.
I mean, why do you care?
First of all, okay, I'm going to answer your question.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're ready for this, Steve.
You got no skin in the game.
Okay, Steve, are you going to let me answer?
Just to hate Trump?
Okay, let me explain, Steve. I'm so glad, I've answered this question before, and it's a valid question.
Probably 6,000
And by the way, I appreciate the fact that you admit that you don't know if I'm a Democrat or not. I get angry when people assume that. Now, let me answer his question.
Based on this last half hour.
Let me answer his question.
A couple days ago, calling Trump
Steve, I'm going to try to. Steve, would you like me to answer your question? Would you like me to answer your question? Why I dislike Donald Trump? Yes. Okay. I dislike anybody who attacks women based on looks. I dislike anybody that attacks someone based on their service, especially someone who didn't serve theirself. I'm talking particularly about John McCain. I dislike anybody that has unprotected sex with a porn star a few months after his wife has a child. I hate anybody who talks about women, grab them by the P word, whether they're a politician or not. Did
you ever play sports?
Yes, I did. In fact, I played 2 college sports on scholarship, sir, so you ain't going to get me there.
and men didn't talk like
I
that.
have never heard anybody in my life say grab them by the P word. I've never heard anybody talk like that. No,
Okay,
sir.
maybe not that specific term. But
What about going after POWs? You support that?
No, I mean, so, look, I
You
don't
asked.
agree with everything Trump said.
Well, you
no
asked me a
doubt. He
question.
said some crazy things.
Uh huh.
No doubt.
Well, no, not crazy things. No. You're not going to get away with that. You're not going to get away with that. Saying something crazy is like what Kyrie Irving said when he said the Earth is flat. Going after a member of somebody that was a prisoner of war for 5 years and saying you don't respect him because he's captured is not crazy. It's disgusting. It's despicable. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I don't agree with it.
Trump and McCain had a big beef.
Doesn't matter.
Like
Not an excuse. He was not an excuse. Not an excuse. You are defending it because they had a please. You are defending it because no, he did not have a reason. There's never a reason to go after someone's war service, sir. That is disgusting that you would say that. And I'm not a shocker. You are a supporter of Donald Trump. 702-257-5396. Let's go to John.
Hey, great call, Steve. Thanks for listening.
John, you're next up on the Vegas take. What's going on?
What's up, John?
Hey, what's up? Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir.
Hey, I'd like to ask a question here really quick, and I saw everybody's jumping on Trump, but I'd like to know where you guys all were when Bush did what he did, when Barack Obama did what he did. How come you guys never spoke up about any of that?
Okay, sure, I'll answer that.
Let me speak really quick.
Well, you just asked me a question. I'm going to keep you on, but let me answer. Hold on a second. John,
interrupting people, bro.
you asked it. Excuse me. My name isn't Bro, okay, Bro? You're going to be quiet now, and you're going to let me answer your question.
His name is King Brian.
Okay.
I'll come and see you personally.
Oh,
bro.
so you're going to, you're a real tough guy. So you're going to threaten me on the air now. So I'll answer your stupid. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're going to, because you seem like a real cool guy to hang out with, you dumbass. Okay, hang up on this guy, and I'll answer his stupid question. Yeah, you're going to threaten me on the radio. You're a real tough guy. First of all, this guy never listened to me when I was on the air when George W. Bush was president. He never listened to me on the radio when Barack Obama was president. He has no idea what my opinions are on Barack Obama or George W. Bush. You'll come and soon see me. Yeah, okay. Okay, tough guy.
How about you explain what those opinions are, Brian?
Well, I mean, it'll take a long time.
Let's do it in 45 seconds.
Okay, fair enough. Barack Obama, I don't think he was a great president. I didn't agree with all of his policies. I think he divided the company when it came to race-related issues. With that being said, I have a lot more respect for Barack Obama than I do for Trump.
As a human being.
As a human being.
Right.
For these reasons, I think he's a good father, a good husband, and he started with nothing in his life and became the president of the United States. My opinion on George W. Bush was he started an ill-advised war on 9/11. I think George W. Bush probably a better president than Donald Trump. But, the bottom line is when people make assumptions that I don't like Donald Trump.
You think that Bush was a better president than Trump despite the fact that he put us in the Iraq war with little to no reasoning and leveraging 9/11 and patriotism to do it?
Let me elaborate on that.
Despite the fact that Trump has avoided war? I mean, I'm actually very surprised by that.
Let me elaborate on that.
Okay, please.
The first 4 years, he, in my opinion, a better president. I agree with you. The second term of his presidency was horrible. So I guess that there's a plus and minus there, and you're right. Starting an ill-advised war was a horrendous thing to do.
Tens of thousands of Americans died because of that war.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I'm not going to defend it. You know, I talk about that all the time. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Dean. Dean, you're next up on the Vegas take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Dean?
You want to go to a hookah lounge with me?
Okay, another. I think we have Jeffrey Epstein on the line. 702-257-5396. Let's go to John. John, you're next up on the Vegas take.
What's up, John?
Yeah, hey, how's it going? Hey, you guys got to stop hanging up on people, man.
Who runs the show, you or me? Exactly. It has everything to do with it. We'll hang up on people if we want to, and you go ahead and make your point. But we're not going to do what John wants us to do.
Was this the same caller from 3 callers ago?
I have no idea.
All I'd like to say is 9/11 was totally an inside job. SEAL Team 6 was set up and murdered, and everybody in the frickin' country, all over the world actually, were ripped off in that mortgage fraud. I spent 25 years building the city of Las Vegas and lost everything in 4 hours, and I never missed a payment on my house. Where were you, radio guys, talking about that when millions of Americans lost everything they worked for?
Okay, so let me ask you a question, John. Were you listening to me when I was on the air after 9/11? Do you know what my opinions are on 9/11?
No, I wasn't.
Exactly. So you're so hold on. So you weren't listening to me. You have no idea what my opinions are when it comes to 9/11. Yet your stupid condescending question, "Where were you when this happened?" When you have no idea what my so instead of being
it's just a standard question.
well, he's being condescending.
No, he's just asking a question.
He's being
I'm not being condescending.
okay. Well, where were you when I was on the radio after 9/11? Where were you? I'm not being.
I was busy, actually. I was kind of busy to listen to a freaking radio show, bro.
Oh, okay. Well, guess what? Don't be condescending then. And if you want to ask me a respectful question, I'll answer it. How about that?
Okay, I'll ask you a respectful question.
Okay, let's try it again. Go ahead.
How come you don't respect? I know the president isn't perfect. None of them are. But how come you just won't give this guy a break no matter what he does for our country?
I have given him credit for the economy. Clearly, you haven't listened to that. I have given him credit. Excuse me. I have given him. Excuse me. I'm answering. Don't interrupt me. Okay. You're not the host of the show. I am. Unemployment numbers are down. The economy is doing better than I expected. I think Obama started it, and Trump is doing a good job continuing that. Some of his policies are working, some of them are not. But that is not an excuse for withholding aid to a foreign country for political gain. That is not an excuse, and that is why I am on him.
Actually, if you look into the treaty that was signed between the United States and Ukraine, he has every right to look into it because the treaty is
Okay, well, John, here's what I'm going to do. Guess what, John? I'm going to hang up on you. By the way, bye-bye. Have a nice day. 702-257-5396.
Good call, John. It got better. Brian gets a little touchy about tone. So callers, when you call in and you have a question,
where were you during 9/11?
Don't make it sound patronizing.
Yeah. Where were you
condescending?
Where were you at 9/11?
Brian will take that very, very
Where
close.
were you during the Vietnam War? Where were you? Where were you when I had a child? Where were you when my wife divorced me? 702.
It's Estrogen Friday for Brian.
702-257-5396. Go to Chris. Chris, you're next up on the Vegas Take. I only got a minute, my friend. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Brian, my name's Chris. I'm a veteran that lost my hand.
Thank you for your service, sir, to this country.
I totally agree with you. I think when I found out that Trump was a draft dodger, it made me sick. I was offended that I lost my hand and how he disrespects people, because he would disrespect me if I was a Democrat, and I'm not a Democrat, but I despise the man immorally. I'm a Christian. He goes against all Christian ways that I believe in. Like you said, sleeping with the prostitute. And then they want to call that lawyer guy for defending that woman, creepy lawyer guy.
Michael Avenatti, yes.
Yeah, he's not the one that had sex with her, but they're calling him the creepy lawyer.
That's a valid point.
Yeah, and then I noticed that all these Trump supporters, for some reason, they all say bro. I don't talk like that.
Yeah, well, you know what? I stopped him
Chris,
when he called me
that's actually
bro.
a very valid point. I have a question for you. Since Trump has become president, have your benefits gone up? Have you gotten more support as a former member of the military?
I wouldn't say so. I do give him credit for the economy and stuff like that, but no, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, but you know what? If I got an extra $200 a month, it wouldn't mean nothing to me the way he treats veterans, because I know deep down if he knew I was a Democrat or had an opinion against him, he would shame me or try to shame me.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Chris? I think there's a lot of veterans out there that feel the same way you feel. Again, let me say this again, because I can't thank you enough. Let me be honest here, Chris. It's people like you for the reason why I'm able to wake up in the morning and do what I love to do, and that is radio, whether it's calling somebody a moron or getting into it with JD on the air. I love it. I love what I do, and it's for the brave men and women in uniform like yourself, sir, for risking your life for this country. So let me say thank you to you again. I don't care what your political beliefs are. You're a hero as far as I'm concerned, Chris, and thank you for calling in, and we appreciate your service to this country. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris.
And I mean that wholeheartedly. I don't care what your political affiliation is. You're a man or woman in uniform. I will never go after you based on your service. I will never do what the President of the United States did. It is absolutely disgraceful. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take more of your phone calls. That number, by the way, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-257-5396. We're talking about Ukraine. We're talking about Zelensky. We're talking about I shouldn't say the impeachment trial. It's the Senate trial. And we're talking about the fact that Republicans are blocking witnesses from testifying. What are your thoughts on that? 702-257-5396. More of your calls when we come back on the other side of the break.
Special report, Trump impeachment trial. Republican Lisa Murkowski says there won't be a fair Senate trial, and she blames both sides. But importantly, she says she will vote against calling witnesses. Her announcement comes just as the New York Times reports the upcoming book from John Bolton accuses the president of masterminding a campaign to get Ukraine to get dirt on Democrats. And he says Mick Mulvaney and Pat Cipollone were in the room at the time of a request. House Trial Manager Adam Schiff.
So here you have the president saying John Bolton is not telling the truth. Let's find out. Let's put John Bolton under oath. Let's find out who's telling the truth. The trial is supposed to be a quest for the truth. Let's not fear what we will learn.
The trial could end tonight or tomorrow in likely acquittal. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Upwork. A crash injury sustained reported on Bonanza westbound at Nellis Boulevard. Also an accident on Buffalo at Lake Mead Boulevard.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. But not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/search. That's ZipRecruiter.com/search.
Finally ready for a year you can remember? Let 2020 be the year you finally regain control of your drinking without having to quit completely. Meet LifeBack, a physician-approved, completely private, personalized plan for kicking problem drinking to the curb. Using a combination of medication, proven in clinical studies to reduce the urge to overdrink in 92% of people, and in-app coaching and support tools, LifeBack makes drinking a choice rather than a habit or need. Every aspect of your LifeBack plan is managed on our mobile app from the privacy of your phone, and medication is delivered discreetly to your doorstep without the need for in-person doctor appointments. Start the LifeBack program now and treat yourself to a 2020 full of sharper focus, better health, saved money, and stronger relationships while still enjoying moderate drinking. Visit lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today to learn more. That's lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today. Call LifeBack today at 888-959-8858.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression. My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill, it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
Come on, JD, you can't say that with a straight face.
Sure I can.
Then, to be quite honest, you're an idiot. Period.
Oh. Look, that's what people usually call me, like, on a daily basis. It's nice for my co-host to get a little bit of it as well. Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. You won't find a local show that certainly gets your voice out there more than what we do. I think we've taken like 500 calls today. But obviously we're talking about what is taking place right now with the trial, what is taking place with the senators, particularly some Republicans that are voting no on witnesses. In my opinion, hasn't really changed, and I've been very consistent on it. Whether the president committed a crime or not, that's what a trial is for. Put the evidence put forward and to try to get to the truth. Doesn't mean you're always going to get to the truth, but you cannot convince me that if we had Mulvaney, Pompeo, Mike Bolton, I'm sorry, John Bolton. Did I say Mike Bolton?
Michael Bolton?
I'm thinking of Mike Pompeo. John Bolton.
I would love if Michael Bolton sang the national anthem.
Yeah.
Before the.
You know what? If we had Michael Bolton up on the stand and I had him sing a song, the song would be about Donald Trump and Melania Trump, and it'd be called "When a Man Doesn't Love a Woman." That's what it would be.
You mean when a woman doesn't love a man?
Well, I'm talking about Donald Trump. I didn't want to attack Melania Trump. That's why I said when a man doesn't love a woman.
But you've implied several times on the show that Melania would not be married to Donald Trump unless he had as much money as
I'll
he
make a
does,
bet with you right
which-
now, within 10 years. Well, I'm sure she married him for his lavish looks, but I guarantee you within 10 years she divorces him. I guarantee you, I will bet you anything you want. Anything you want, my friend, that they are not married 10 years from now. Tell you that right now. You take a bet? I will bet you anything you want. Didn't you just hit a royal flush last night? I'll bet you what you want on the royal flush.
I don't want to talk about that, Brian.
Why
But I
not?
did.
What'd you win? $20?
I won $20,000.
You won $20,000 last night?
I won $20,000 at the Rio.
Yeah.
I hit a royal flush.
I got an
playing
idea for it.
$5 a hand.
I'm very happy for you. Will you donate that to the Amy Klobuchar campaign?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, geez. I was
no chance.
I was hoping that you would.
Zero. But I will reimburse you the $500 you gave me.
That is
when
very
you,
nice of you.
When you sat next to me and
I
you
did.
watched me lose about $700, and then you went to my machine like a hawk and you parasitically sat down after you knew that I lost, and within 5 minutes you had a royal flush for $8,000
Yes, I
at
did.
Charlie's Lake Second.
Yes, I did. They don't sponsor our show, so don't mention their name.
No, I will.
Yeah, no, don't.
Well, you hit 2 royals there in what, 3 days?
I don't want to give any free
You won
publicity.
$16,000 on that place, and then you never went back.
Is anybody from the IRS
Who does
listening?
that?
Anyway, we're taking some of your phone calls. Thank you, by the way, for that $500 royal flush reimbursement. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's try to squeeze in a few calls, then we got to talk a little Super Bowl. Let's go to Anthony. Anthony, you are first up here on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Anthony?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing
Good,
great.
man.
Great. You know, what bothers me is that everyone is saying that the man committed impeachable offenses and that he violated his oath of office, but they don't want to remove because they don't think it reached the level. So I wonder, what do we do as a country now? You know, because this is definitely now a constitutional problem.
Very good question, Anthony. I think I'm sure you would agree with me. It sets a very bad precedence moving forward.
Yeah. And let me tell you why. The reason why I'm no longer in the military is because when I joined, I had a knee injury, right? But I made it through air flight school. You know, I was maybe second airborne, so I was a jumper. But they're saying that they said that I lied to get in the military to go through basic training. So I had to be removed from my post, right? And my specialty was weapons and communications. That was my MOS. So, but because they said I lied, right? I didn't commit a crime, but they said I violated my oath.
Right.
And so I was discharged from the military. It was honorable, but it still was a discharge.
Right.
I think that we all can lose our space. You know, this man needs to be fired because his oath of office, he violated it. You know, he committed crimes too.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I think that we need to really take this serious. We need to go ahead and make Pence president. Remove this guy because I think this is now a stain in our Constitution.
Yeah, no, listen, Anthony, you made some valid points there. Obviously, you know that I agree with you. I don't think JD would agree with you, but I think it's evident even when Republicans vote, but yet they make statements on the witnesses and they say, well, we don't need more witnesses because we know the president, did this, but yet they don't think it's an impeachable offense. It's so ridiculous.
Republicans are following the law that was passed last time Clinton was impeached, 100-0, which allowed them to turn down the 11 amendments proposed by the Democratic Party and allows them, because they control the Senate, to not have any witnesses.
Then why did Monica Lewinsky testify?
They are simply following the law.
Then why did Monica Lewinsky, why was she forced to testify?
Because Republicans controlled the Senate back then as well.
Exactly, so it's a farce. This is not a trial.
If the Democrats controlled the Senate, then Donald Trump there would be people testifying.
This is not a trial.
He would probably be impeached.
It's
he
completely.
He would probably be removed from office.
It's a partisan trial. It's completely partisan. It's a
but
joke.
on the same side, the House, the Republicans weren't allowed to have any witnesses when the House voted either. I mean, it's both ways, Brian.
Yeah, but
it's a courtesy on both sides.
Well, I wouldn't call it a
And
courtesy. I would call it a farce.
I'm not happy that it's not. I mean, it's not a real courtesy, but it's reciprocity, a negative reciprocity.
It's a bad
I'm not
precedent
happy
moving
that
forward.
we have such a partisan government. I wish we were in more bipartisan times to get more done. But that's where we're at right now.
This is what I tell Republicans who think, oh, it's going to be terrible if witnesses testify. Listen, if you don't think the president committed a crime, and every day it seems more and more evidence comes forward that he did, but if you don't think the president did anything wrong, like the president said, right, it was a perfect phone call. I don't think one logical person on the planet would agree with the president on that. But here's my point: if you are one of those people that you don't think that the president did anything wrong, then why wouldn't you want witnesses to testify? It would exonerate him, and it would make the Democrats look awful. Why don't we hear that talking point on Fox News? Yeah, it's funny. The evil racist witch Laura Ingraham will never bring that up. She'll just go, well, these Democrats, these liberals. You never hear her, speak the truth on her show because she is an evil racist witch. We'll take some of your phone calls, 702-257-5396. 257-5396. Again, 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Tyler. Tyler, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Tyler?
Hey, I got a question regarding this whole situation. I don't know all the information about it, so that's why I don't want to speculate. But what's the real difference between what Trump did versus what Biden did when he withheld the $1 billion until he fired that prosecutor general?
Well, it's a good question, and here's the best answer I can give you. The best answer I can give you is this. Joe Biden, along with literally 100 Republican senators, wanted that prosecutor fired because he wasn't doing enough to battle corruption. That's number one. Number two.
So context.
Hold on. Biden was also investigated, and that investigation was dropped. So there was no evidence to support.
And the investigation, House Democrats were actively involved in that investigation.
Whether House Democrats were involved or not.
A lot of Republicans feel like it wasn't thorough enough.
Honestly,
I would say that what Biden did was more egregious because he openly admitted that he was withholding the aid. Trump at no point ever mentioned that particular uttered those words.
Okay, well, why do you think
Biden, except maybe to John Bolton, assuming what he says is true?
But Tyler, why do you think Biden
did it publicly?
Tyler, why do you think Biden was? What do you think his reason was for withholding that money?
Well, that's the speculation. They say, his son was quote unquote on the board of that of the company that they were investigating.
And that's fact.
So that to me sounds like personal gain.
Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the difference, and this is a very important point that I want to make here. There were literally over 100 Republicans that agreed with Joe Biden that this prosecutor was not doing enough to fight corruption. When Donald Trump decided to open up an investigation into the Bidens, he didn't have 100 Democrats behind him that were agreeing with him. Do you see the difference? People on the other side of the aisle agreed with Biden at the time that it was the right decision. Name me one Democrat or one Democrat on the other side that agrees with that phone call and thinks Trump did the right thing.
Listen, I'm not going to name anybody because
there's nobody to name.
He doesn't have a lot of knowledge. He was simply asking a question. Did we answer your question?
Right.
But Tyler, I'm just trying to answer your question the best way I can, and that's the best way I would answer it is, telling you that there wasn't one Democrat that agreed with that phone call. And when Joe Biden withheld the aid, which is what you are talking about and threatened to in regards to this prosecutor, there were many Republican senators that agreed with him.
And they're saying there's no speculation here. Hunter Biden was paid almost $3 million at $60,000,
which is not against the law,
by the Ukraine,
which is not against the law,
for being on the board of a company that in a space he had no experience in,
which is not against the law.
Was widely considered very corrupt.
So I'm
not suggesting it's against the law.
I appreciate the call, Tyler,
but that's fact.
You can make
Great call, Tyler.
You can make the same argument in regards to Jared Kushner. What is his experience, and how does he put in that position?
Is he being paid by a foreign country right now on a monthly basis?
He's not being paid by a foreign country, but it's the same. The same thing applies. Whether you're being paid by a foreign country or not is not the issue. The issue is being put in a position because of who you know. Jared Kushner married to Ivanka Trump. That's how he got that job. I have no doubt that Hunter Biden got that job because of his father, Joe Biden. It's not against the law. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Carl. Carl, you're next up. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Carl?
Hi, guys. Listen, I'm getting a little tired of hearing some of these people who they say they make Trump a saint for all the troops and for servicemen and all that. I don't think you've forgotten. I mentioned a long time ago, every foundation he's had, every business he's had has been closed down or corrupt, or he took $2 million from a Wounded Warriors Fund, and a federal court ordered him to repay the money back because he used it on his own uses.
Right.
And then he said right away after he paid it back, I just donated $2 million to a
Listen,
veteran.
Carl, you're not going to listen, my man. You are absolutely not going to get an argument from me on that one. I forgot something, JD. You know what? We kind of have a big football game on Sunday. And while I appreciate all the people on hold and I appreciate all the phone calls, we got to get to the Super Bowl.
We got to talk Super Bowl.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the craziest prop bets you can find.
Wait, can we say Super Bowl, or does that have to be a big game?
I don't know. But
Okay.
the craziest prop bets you can find for the game on Sunday. We'll talk about that coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON.
We call him Willy Wonka. He's a chocolate lab. His belly itched, and he would actually lay in the grass and scoot across it to scratch. DINOVITE.com. Dinovite is nutrition. His belly, it's all really cleaned up. He flops over and lays on his back and just kicks his legs. I call it his happy dance.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Amid Las Vegas's glitz and glamour lurks the tragedy of homeless veterans, our nation's heroes who return from war but continue to fight a battle for survival on our city's gritty streets. The basic human need of shelter shouldn't be a luxury to military heroes, which is why there is Veterans Village. Veterans Village is a nonprofit organization providing transitional housing, meals, and social services to homeless vets to give them a hand up. Veterans Village is a place of hope, but we can't do it without you. Be a hero to heroes and donate any amount you can afford at vvlv.org. That's vvlv.org. vvlv.org.
I'm Ben Utek. I played high school, college, and pro football, helping my team win the 2006 championship. It was an amazing day, but it can't compare to the joy I feel every day with my loving wife and 3 beautiful daughters. My football career ended after I suffered my 5th concussion. Did you know that over 1 million athletes suffer a concussion each year? That includes boys and girls, every age, every type and level of sport. It isn't always clear that a player has had a concussion. So parents, athletes, and coaches need to learn about concussion signs and symptoms. The American Academy of Neurology recommends athletes thought to have a concussion be immediately removed from play and not returned until assessed by a healthcare professional trained in concussion. This isn't just about sports. It's about your brain. When in doubt, sit it out. Learn more at aan.com/concussion. That's aan.com/concussion. A message from the American Academy of Neurology.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. By the way, also broadcasting live on YouTube, the Vegas Take page. Also, check out our website, thevegastake.com. We're on all the platforms on social media. We do have a pretty big football game. It is called the Super Bowl on Sunday, and I picked the Chiefs to win it all a month ago. You know that. Chiefs have been my team to win it all. I think
you did say that.
But before we get to actually breaking down the game, JD, and this is your expertise, so I'm very interested to hear your handicapping of this game. There are some exotic props you could make offshore, and I want to name a few of them for you, and then I want to get your picks on this, and then I'm going to jot it down, and I'm going to see how you do. What will the Super Bowl MVP mention first in his speech? Teammates plus 125, God plus 250, the city plus 500, the coach plus 500, the owner plus 1,400, family members plus 700, or doesn't mention any of the above, 5 to 1. What do you say?
God.
All right, I'm kind of gonna go with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with you on that. The following are the most unique props. So here we go. The national anthem. How long will Demi Lovato sing the national anthem? Over under is 2 minutes. What do you say?
Over.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. I'm going to go with the over as well. Will she be wearing a skirt, dress, or gown? Yes or no?
Gown.
Well, no. Will she be wearing all 3 of them?
Oh.
Yes or no?
What, one of the 3?
Minus 180.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay. I think that's a lock, actually. Will she forget a word from the national anthem?
No,
yes.
no chance.
Plus no chance. Okay.
She is trying to get her name back in the spotlight.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
I think she's going to perform at a high level.
I'm with you at all of them so far. I can't disagree. The total Donald Trump tweets on February 2nd, the over-under is 13.5.
Under.
You know, that's a lot of tweets. I think I'm going to take the under as well.
I think he'll be watching the Super Bowl.
What will happen to the price of Bitcoin during the Super Bowl? The price is more at games end at minus 135, or the price is less, minus 105.
Is there a Super Bowl commercial promoting Bitcoin? Because I was told that there is a marijuana commercial. The first cannabis commercial ever will be during the Super Bowl, which I'm excited about. So I'm going to say it goes under, goes down.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think it actually goes up. What color will the liquid be poured on the game-winning coach? You know, there's red, lime, clear, orange, blue, and purple. What do you say?
Blue.
Blue is plus 600, so you're getting a nice price. Now, I'm going to disagree on that. When I say red, I'm going to go with the lock, which is red, I think. I think that's a lock. Who will be mentioned first on TV, Shanahan or Reed? Shanahan's even money, by the way.
Oh, Shanahan.
Really?
Yeah, he's the young coach. He's the young up-and-coming coach.
I'm going to go with Reed. He's been there too long, and he looks like a walrus. He's fun to look at, so I like Reed.
Yeah, but Shanahan's interesting. He's young.
All right, well, we're going to disagree on that one. One of us is going to win. Will Fox broadcast mentioned the point spread of the game. Ooh, this is a good one during the broadcast. So hold on, let me give you the price first. Yes is plus 175. No is minus 260. Big favorite on the no. I don't know if I agree with that. I'm going to take a shot with yes.
Considering there's 20 states now with legalized sports betting, I actually feel very comfortable about a yes.
You got value on the yes. I'm going to have to agree.
They're not going to mention it one time.
Insane.
They're expecting $8.5 billion legally wagered on this game.
Here's a good one. Will a fan run onto the field during the game? Yes is 6-1. What do you think?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
There's too much security, right? It's not like a UNLV game. There's too much security.
It's Miami. It's a very expensive ticket. I think when that happens, it's usually someone who gets in cheap and they're wearing they're streaking or something. That's not going to take
With
place.
my luck, it's a dude. It's not an attractive
maybe
woman.
like a Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports. I could see him pulling a move like that.
That was my next question. I have a Barstool Sports prop. Wow, it's almost like you knew what I was going to say.
I honestly, I had no idea.
You read my mind. Okay, so will any member of Barstool Sports get into the Super Bowl opening night or coaches interviews using fake credentials? The yes is plus 350. The no is minus 600.
Oh, that's an absolute yes.
You think someone's going to use fake
Brian,
credentials?
They flew a blimp over Miami last night so it's a blimp, and the flag is Roger Goodell with a clown nose on.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Good point.
Barstool is going to try to do some big stuff.
But will
here.
they be caught though? See, that's the problem with this bet. They have to be caught and arrested.
But they'll brag about it.
Will any player be ejected for throwing a punch or fighting? The no is minus 2,000. I think the yes.
No.
There's some value.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like a Tyreek Hill if things are getting pretty heated.
If it's a blowout,
he could do something like that. If there's a 3-year-old boy somewhere near, that could happen.
Will any player propose to his girlfriend on the field after the game? The no is minus 1,000.
I'm going to say yes.
Really? All right, you're getting plus 550 on that. Man, they're taking a lot of juice.
Well, you've got the Chiefs. They've been here in 50 years. I could see one of those players trying to pull a move like that, and they're probably not going to be there for a long time. Although Mahomes could get them back, but this is a big deal for the Chiefs.
Okay,
Huge deal for the Chiefs.
I've got my own prop. I just made one up. The odds that Donald Trump has sex with a woman during the Super Bowl, I'm going to say yes is plus 2,500. No, minus 5,000. It could be any woman. It doesn't have to be Melania.
Is he attending the Super Bowl?
I don't know. You have to answer my question. That's my bet.
There's a lot of variables you have to consider here. If he's attending the Super Bowl, is he going to take Melania into some type of room or bathroom or powder room or coat room? I don't think so.
Let me tell you something. I don't think
so. If that's the case, then you're saying that he would have sex with someone that's not his wife in Miami?
Yes.
The President of the United States during the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Oh,
that's why it's minus.
That's a definite yes.
You think yes?
No.
Well, you just said yes.
Of course not, Brian. No.
Wow.
Strong no.
You said
strong,
yes.
strong
You
no.
should go with your first instincts. You said yes. Okay, let's talk a little halftime show, JD. As you know, Shakira and J-Lo.
I'm actually very excited for this.
Well, I'm not, because I think it's going to be a lip sync contest, because I think they're talentless as far as singing.
They're not great singers.
No.
I agree.
So how many wardrobe changes for Jennifer Lopez? Over, under 2.5?
Over.
The only wardrobe change I want to see is the one where she's wearing nothing, because she's very attractive. So that's something I would enjoy looking at. I hope a Janet Jackson happens.
By the way, that's two of the most famous behinds in music.
It's true.
In the last 50 years.
Well,
this is a big.
Arguably,
these are two very, very valuable.
Listen, that's arguably. I would put Bruno Mars.
Posteriors.
I would put Bruno Mars up there as well.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Fine.
J-Lo and Shakira next to each other.
You don't put Bieber up there?
What?
Yeah.
For what?
For the best behind.
For the best behind?
Yeah, I'd put Bieber up there.
I would not put Bieber up there.
All right, well, we disagree. Will Shakira and Jennifer Lopez twerk during the halftime show? The yes is 2-1. What do you say?
I hope so.
You hope there will be
yes.
twerking.
So yes, but I'm also biased because I hope that it happens. That's my first biased answer.
Fair enough. Will Will Smith make an appearance during the halftime show? Just a bizarre question. The yes is only plus 300.
Yeah, I hope not, but clearly he's going to.
There's so many.
The fact that it's 300 means that yes, he's going to be making an appearance. I'm not happy about that. I'm actually visibly shaken angry right now. Now that he's going to ruin my Shakira J-Lo experience. Thank you, Will Smith, for ruining my day.
I got another J-Lo for you. Will J-Lo do a Selena cover? Yes or no?
I hope so.
All right. The yes is plus 350.
Well, and she's got that. I think she has a new movie coming out in a documentary. They're going to want publicity, and doing something like that brings publicity to those type of projects.
I just got one. I just thought of
in
one myself.
In her memory.
The odds that A-Rod cheats on J-Lo while spending time in Miami over the next couple days.
You just make that up?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good one, isn't it?
So you want me to apply the odds of that?
Give me some odds.
I think A-Rod and J-Lo have a pretty solid relationship, pretty strong relationship.
I don't think it's that solid.
I'm gonna say plus 700.
So you're saying there's a chance. I don't.
Plus 700.
I'm sounding like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. But anyway, let's move on to the actual game. I said from the beginning that I thought the Chiefs would win this one. Give me your expertise, JG. This is what you do for a living.
Yeah, I love the Chiefs here, and I love the under. I think that the Niners aren't that good.
What is the total, by the way?
It's 55, 54
so
and a half,
it opened
55.
up at like 51.
Yeah, it's gone up a lot. There was $110,000 bet that Nick Bogdanovich, he would have told us about, but that was placed last night. Besides that, a lot of money, kind of both sides on the Niners and the Chiefs. I think you're going to see some big bets both ways. Maybe a little bit more money on the Chiefs, but there's going to be a ton of money on this over. I think that this game will be under 47 points. That means that a 7-point teaser will not even hit.
By the way,
a 10-point teaser might not even hit. And I like the under touchdowns. I think it's 6.5. I like under 6.5 touchdowns. Here's the reason why. Raheem Mostert against, and he's the 49ers running back. He had 4 touchdowns and 220 yards against the Packers. The Packers corners are 5'9", 180, and 6'3", 190. They're very, very frail. The Chiefs have thick, good corners against the run. They have strong safety play with Daniel Sorensen and Tyrann Mathieu, who's now a Pro Bowl player. I like the Chiefs. I think they have more offensively. Their defensive line, they only had 3 less sacks than the Niners did this year. The Niners, their vaunted D, they had 48 sacks. The Chiefs had 45, and that was with Chris Jones being out for a couple of games. The Chiefs have only given up, I think, 27 total quarterback pressures to opposing defensive ends. Patrick Mahomes, he can evade pressure. They've got Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill.
Okay, can I allude on that, what you just said?
Yeah, sure, it's fine.
Pat Mahomes, and then you finish up. I just agree with one thing you said that I think is going to be the difference in this game. You could tell
Mahomes,
me.
Yeah.
Listen, Pat Mahomes is an unbelievable athlete. He's so good under pressure. I think he's going to rush more than you guys can anybody imagine. I think that's going to be the difference. I think him rushing for first down yardage is going to be a key in this game. Mahomes, there's no question he's going to have to be able to throw the ball, which he's very capable of doing. But I think that's the difference between him and Garoppolo, right? And listen, you can make the argument the 49ers defense is better. I get that. But the fact that Mahomes is going to be able to evade pressure, do you agree?
I think Mahomes is a gamer. He's a gamer. Yeah. He can throw the deep ball. He can throw the no look ball. I mean, he's got different deliveries with his arm angle. He handles pressure much better than I believe Garoppolo will. Garoppolo really hasn't been tested a whole lot. They've got Samuel, Sanders, Kittle. I mean, they have some weapons, but they don't have that track speed that the Chiefs have. And the Chiefs defense, you say it's a lot worse than this vaunted Niners defense. And again, the vaunted Niners defense, they have Richard Sherman at cornerback. They don't have 2 guys. Besides that, they have Ahkello Witherspoon, who's probably a 4.6 guy. The Chiefs have 3 guys that run 4.340s.
All right,
if
so
not
give me your
4
score.
guys run 4.340s.
Give me your score. Give me your prediction.
I like Chiefs 28-17, something along those lines.
Ooh,
sounds
close.
about right to me.
That's close to my score.
Yeah.
I was going to say 30-20.
Yeah,
that's my score.
28-17. I think the Niners get a couple of because Robbie Gould is a good field goal kicker. I don't see them scoring a lot of touchdowns in this game. The Chiefs defense is a lot better than people give them credit for.
How many women do you think will be hitting on Garoppolo in the next week in Miami?
Oh, a lot.
How many? Give me an over/under.
You're talking like people just like yelling from a
Yeah,
crowd,
just women,
or walking up to him.
Women, both.
I mean, it could be thousands.
that bastard.
Yeah, you go to Indiana. I mean, Gronkowski's got a big Super Bowl party out there.
How many women?
My buddy from Omaha's going.
We
so
only have a
he has
minute.
good time
How
for
many
that.
women do you think Garoppolo has slept with in his life?
In his life, what
Yes.
is he? Was he 27?
Yeah.
How
many women?
Has he ever been married before?
How many touchdowns has he scored?
He was at Eastern Illinois
with 2-point conversions.
You know what? I'm going to say now. What actually? When you say 2-point conversion, how does that translate to sex?
We don't have enough time.
No, let's go over it.
We don't have enough time.
Okay.
We only have 30 seconds, which is how long I last in the sack in most of my dates.
Considering how forward Garoppolo has been in interviews with like Aaron Andrews, et cetera, I think that he is very promiscuous. I'm guessing he's probably close to 100.
He's very promiscuous.
I'm guessing.
That's it?
I'm guessing 100.
I think you're way off on that. That's a bad line.
He might have.
I take the overall.
He might have high standards.
Yeah, he hit 100 before he was 21.
You think so?
Yes, you're
I'm saying.
Well, you know what? We'll ask him. Hopefully, someone ask him that.
We got like 500.
We got to go. All right. Hey, we're gonna have a lot of fun. We'll be talking Super Bowl on Monday, folks. Have a great weekend. Sean Hannity next.
Your home for Sean Hannity